All right, here we go. In
Hello,
3,
backup track.
2, 1. Oh, I used the old theme again. I forgot to move it. That was for that kid, remember? I forgot to put it back, put the other one there. Anyway.
Oh, yeah. I was so... it sounded so normal to me.
I guess it didn't even hit me until now. Hey, everybody. Welcome to Core. You know, this is Core, the only games podcast known to be sure. That knows for sure who put the hit out on Tupac and Biggie. Did you guys know that? We know.
Do we? We know?
Yeah. I feel like by saying
we don't know
that,
how to say that that's the case.
No.
But we do know it.
We don't know how to read a thing we wrote 10 minutes before the show starts. We don't know how to do that. Anyway, it's good to see you all. Is Dragon Age here yet? What are we doing? This sucks. I don't want to wait anymore.
No. End of the month, Scott. End of the month. Keep waiting.
Well, we got a week.
You gotta wait a Dragon's Age.
It's about a week is all, though, right? Let's see, Dragon Age. Or not Origins, Veilguard. Okay, that comes out.
It's out now.
It's
Surprise.
Right this second. Yeah, the 31st, and today is the 24th. We're close. We're less than 8 days, whatever it is. So look forward to it. I'm so excited. I don't know why. It's really all I kind of care about right now as far as anything new. So bring it on, boys. Anyway, it's good to be here. It's me, it's John, and it's Bo, and we've got a show to do, so let's get straight to it. All right. We're going to cover all the hot news of the week. We're going to start with this story, and I'm not even sure either of you will know that this was a thing. Maybe you will, but I knew about it only because I was on Daily Tech News Show for a bunch of weeks where we got to talk about this. I don't think it's ever come up here. Maybe it has, maybe it hasn't. But Netflix started a AAA studio like 2 years ago, all right, in 2022 sometime ago, and they pulled a bunch of really big names from various other studios to be there. I'll give you a couple of ideas here who that is. Here it is. Former Halo creative lead Joseph Staten, Overwatch executive producer Chaco Sonny, the Coalition's Jerry Edsall, Blizzard and Bungie's Gavin Irby, and finally Santa Monica art director Raphael Grassetti, and a whole bunch more. These people were pulled. It made big news at the time that this was kind of a big whoop. These people are going over there. And they were going to start, their job was to start a AAA studio under the guidance and financial support of Netflix.com. That was the plan.
Cool. Netflix is so good at this stuff.
Yeah, they're known for their stuff. What they wanted to do was jump in while the iron was hot and start producing content. My guess is they were aiming for AAA games that would be on PC and console that would be in and around their IPs, like Stranger Things and stuff like that. I don't know that for sure, but that's my guess. Like, why else would you do this? I think in 2022, that probably sounded like a great idea, and they probably had a lot of money. Well, I know they do. And also, these are a lot of big names, so it seemed like a no-lose situation. Jump ahead to 2024. This is a very different market. And I would point you to previous episodes where John has had many great essays on why AAA is quote-unquote dying or needs to die before it can live again, or all the things we've said before.
Needs to change.
Needs to shift gears. And so what I think happened here, they never announced a project, so we never knew what game they were working on or any of that. I think Netflix has for a while now, even with their mobile strategy, their whole push has been, we'll just dip here and there and see how it goes. Okay, the mobile thing's doing okay. Those numbers are interesting. We're not going to go all out quite yet, but we'll see. And then we'll try this. And we'll buy a tiny developer, and they're making an indie game, and we'll see how that goes. And then this was like maybe an overstep. This is one case where they went a little too hard and far, and the industry itself is part of why they had to swing back and cut it. But we're never going to know. Well, at least now, at this stage, we're not going to know what they're going to do. I think they're going to do more like what John always says that these companies should do, which is more, I don't want to call them B-tier games, but smaller experiences. And I don't just mean mobile, but like, what about a point-and-click Adventures of Monkey Island style Stranger Things video game? That's kind of interesting. Wouldn't mind seeing that. And that doesn't need the budget or the vast amount of people to necessarily pull off, or whatever they may end up doing. I don't think they're getting out of games. I think they want in the same way that Amazon wants in, and Amazon has projects and has stuff, some successful, some not, some publishing, some originals. I think they want that, but I don't think they're in any rush to do it while they continue to lead in their core business. So Anyway.
I mean, they made it 2 years
Yeah.
trying to do a AAA studio,
Mm-hmm.
and we have it on very good authority that, like, if you have a AAA game that's in development for 5 years,
Yeah.
it came out quick.
Yeah.
I think that kind of sums up maybe where their head being at and where the practicalities of game development diverged.
Sure.
Like, if they were hoping to see, tangible results within 2 years, and who knows for sure, I'm making a guess, but if they're at 2 years and they're like, no, let's scrap it, to me, either their expectations were vastly different from reality, or something just catastrophic was going on and they needed to move away from it.
Yeah,
But
it's also a time you would cut cord and feel better about it than if you kept pushing into more and more debt on a project that may or may not come to fruition. So I think you're right. If 5 years your AAA studio makes its first game, something's wrong, or that's too early. There is a sense of that now. So cutting it at 2 is probably just a cutting losses and saying, yeah, it's not the right time. We don't know because nobody's talking. None of these people are saying whether it was a bad thing, good thing, a mutually agreeable thing, what the kind of deals these contracts were for these big names and stuff. We don't know any of that stuff, or even how big the team was. We don't know that either. But
One of the things that's interesting, not about this specifically, but just that this instance makes me think of, is, you get a band together, you jam a few times before you do your $1 million concert or whatever. You hang out, write some songs. Like, if you're getting like a team together to publish some games, wouldn't you like work on a small project, even if it is for $1 million studio? Like, just get something out the door and make sure the team gels and that kind of thing.
Well,
like,
maybe that's why maybe this is the video game equivalent of that. Maybe this is.
It's not just Netflix. Like any, we're gonna pour a bunch of money, and it's like, okay, well, maybe make a $10 game in 6 months, or whatever, to make sure the band can play the music together well or something. I don't know.
No, I agree with you. I think you have to have. I agree with that 100%. I'm just saying maybe that's what this is. It's hard to. I mean, there's money spent for sure, right? But they're not like, this isn't massive amounts of money spent. This is them experimenting, and they got far enough in it where maybe the band didn't jive. Maybe it wasn't the right mix. Maybe it wasn't the right time, and they just said, "All right, well, experiment over." And maybe they all knew that from the beginning. See, there's all the things we just don't know about it.
Like, if you look at the positive things from the Play Nice book, like if you're, because it's always like this dishing about stuff. It's like you can look at it as like they built a core foundation for what they're going to work on later and scaled it up, rather than just be like, here's scale. Like, it's, I don't know, just an interesting thing. Like, who knows, when they sat down, they're like, we're going to pour a bunch of money into this video game. I mean, who knows? It could have just be a change in politics where someone hates that they're getting into games, decided to pull the plug on it. Like, why would they just pour money down the drain?
Well, if you have money to experiment,
the shareholders wouldn't like that, right? Like, I'm sure shareholders, this, judging by Titan, they didn't, because I hear $80 million for Titan, and I'm like, that's not that much money, for Blizzard. But it was a big deal. It was a big deal. Heads had to roll. And so I'm like, I'm sure somebody's got to stay after class for this fiasco.
Maybe. Or it could be, like I say, we don't know any of those details. At least back when Titan fell, we knew enough that they had lost a bunch of money and Pardo was out the door. Like, we knew there was a big negative cloud around it. With this one, we just don't know. Like a lot of companies, shareholders do want them working on new things so that value down the road is possible beyond what the current value is, and that costs money to do. This wasn't like a loss for them necessarily. Like, their stock prices are fine. So I don't think shareholders care.
Maybe they wrote some great Pokemon fiction, and now it's in their repository.
Oh boy, the next animated Pokemon origin story,
or whatever it is.
That'd be amazing.
Maybe one of these guys just wrote something so upsetting they closed the studio.
Yeah, I don't know. It's really hard to tell, but I'm guessing we'll probably hear somewhere sometime. Oh, speaking of which, you're talking about Play Nice. There's that whole bit in there about why StarCraft has a capital C in the middle and Warcraft doesn't. And I'd never heard the story before, but it's because there was another company that makes some kind of vans or shipping logistics products, and they were called StarCraft. and they have a small c in the name, and they didn't want to go to court with them to try to fight over trademark. So Blizzard's concession was, well, we'll just make the C capital, and that gives us our own trademark. And so legally they were okay, and that was the only reason. Well, today Ben Brode got drug a little bit online because I don't think he's read the book and didn't know this story, but he put a post on Threads where he says, "For real, Blizzard, whose dumb idea was it to put the capital C in StarCraft and have it lowercase in Warcraft?" He just didn't know the story. It was obvious he didn't know. And everybody's like, "I'm reading the book right now, and it tells you right in there. Aren't you reading the book about the young company you used to work?" It's like people were going off on the poor guy.
I gotta tell you, if a book came out about a company I used to work for, that is a book I would not be reading.
Yeah, I wouldn't go near it, right?
I would not be
if you were
interested.
if you were in the book.
Well, he's in it, but he's only talked about pretty positively, right? You could find that out without too much trouble.
Yeah, I mean, he's his name's in there. I mean, come on, unless he really just doesn't give a shit. And bless his soul, I wish I could be like that. I guess.
Yeah, I'd like to be like Ben. Be like Ben Brode. He's a nice guy. He's one of the good ones.
I met Ben Brode. I heard his laugh in front of my face.
Did he go right on you?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, right. Yeah.
Have you recovered?
I mean, I didn't get any spittle. Oh, yeah, recovered. It's amazing.
Your life
There's
is
nothing to recover from. It was euphoric, Scott.
He was real nice. He had real energy and vibe, and it was cool. And you get a little starstruck. You're like, you're the guy I see rapping on YouTube and talking about Hearthstone cards. And here you are, a flannel and jean material everywhere.
Yeah, he's a flannel god, really. Flannel people.
Yeah, but
everywhere.
anyway, I don't think it's that's obscure arcana. Like you would have to be part of that conversation to know. That's why you called it StarCraft. Yeah. I don't think he was.
He wasn't even around.
Even if he was at the company at that time, he was a QA guy.
Yeah, he wasn't.
Actually, they talked about him quite a bit. They talked about how he was a guy who just loved doing QA for them and just was constantly working. And he loved the night shift so much. He's the one that had a special shift where he could work with both teams.
Yeah. Crossed over.
Yeah. That guy bleeds blue, Blizzard blue, as they say in the book. But I think the StarCraft thing would be like you'd have to have been in the boardroom when that conversation was happening.
Yeah. Plus, that was 98. Like it was a long time ago. I don't think he was even there then.
Probably not.
Anyway, so whatever Netflix is working on, we'll probably never know. But it's interesting. In Netflix or in Amazon's case, they also do some publishing of games they didn't make. So Lost Ark here in the States and I think in Europe is published by Amazon Games. Yeah. And then they do have their own internal stuff like with New World, which we'll talk about later. They just had a big patch. I played some of that. And then a few other, I think, Throne and Liberty is another published Korean title, but not developed by them. Right. Yeah. So that may be the road for somebody like a Netflix wanting to get in. They take that name and parlay it into some good published deals, a couple of homegrown ones, maybe like Bo says, like a smaller little. They have the Oxenfree developer now. They bought them. They didn't get rid of them. They're keeping them, and that they could make a small rad game. So I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know what goes into that kind of thing. I'm scarred by the Blizzard book because now everything that doesn't make $1 billion looks like a failure to me. At least I interpret it as a failure in the eyes of the company that makes it.
Yeah. They're big. You know what's funny about that book? We haven't really talked too much about this aspect of it, but you bring up a good point. Early on in the company, they don't ever really own themselves, right? Very early they did when they were just starting and it was 3 of them and whatever. But then they would start to build it. And every time they made something really good, it would create a infrastructure problem that they couldn't afford to support it. And so they would get money from Davidson or whoever it was and try to build that back up. And then, okay, we're okay right now. But our next game is the first time online anything's ever happened with BattleNet. That just doesn't exist anywhere else. Guess what that costs? A ton of money in infrastructure, not because of it basically existing, but because your game is so good and so successful, you have to scale up and be huge to handle it. So now they're like, well, shit, we don't have enough money. That's the churn at Blizzard. And I didn't realize how permanent that was. It just happened over and over. And it was always because their next game was so good and so popular and so exponentially higher in sales that the stuff behind it to support it, WoW is the best example, was impossible to keep up with without massive amounts of investment from somebody else despite all their success. It's that part is crazy to me. That whole treadmill is just nuts.
It stopped with StarCraft onwards. They had blips of like greatness with Hearthstone and Overwatch but that didn't last. The tail on it was not like WoW.
Well, no, not nearly.
You like the money, the ever increasing money hose and infrastructure problems, like in that way, stopped with WoW, and I think still continues to this day.
Yeah,
in terms of the amount of revenue it turns over.
I mean, I mean, they. Yeah, you're right, but and also it's a different world now where that infrastructure is very cloud based and very scalable. It's a very different virtualized world now than it was then. But imagine
at that time there was Vivendi, so they also stopped changing hands.
That's true.
There's lots of changing of seats and stuff. Yeah.
Plus that whole thing with like the weirdos on the Vivendi side with like insider trading, and then the CEO got in trouble for that. Book is wild. People should read that book. That's good.
Yeah. Vivendi turned out to be full of grody people.
Yeah. Gross French people. Just kidding. Sorry, I shouldn't say that to a French Canadian like Bo. He's got a little French Canadian.
Yeah, I mean, I've lived a lot in Quebec, and that's a French Canadian province, the Belle Province of Quebec.
There you go.
But I won't be too offended. Like some of them are pretty,
Yeah,
they're known for their culture of love. We'll put it that way.
Nice, John. I can't wait to talk about this because I think you're going to have some opinions. Vampire Survivors, when it came out, everybody went, man, they sure are ripping off Castlevania with this thing with all these sprites and everything. We're having a full circle moment. Do you want to explain to people what this is?
Yeah, so this Halloween, we are getting a major DLC for Vampire Survivors, and it is a celebration, an ode, as they call it, to Castlevania. There's going to be a purchasable Castlevania tie-in for Vampire Survivors, and it's like insanely big. It's not just like, hey, we put in, look, it's your favorite Belmont running around with a whip.
Is there more than 2 frames of animation on these guys?
No.
It's gonna have
I'm just
20 plus characters added to the game. Basically, any character that's been in
40
Castlevania is gonna be added to the game. Tons of new weapons. A giant Castlevania map is getting added to the game. It is like one of the most logical DLC partnerships you could ever imagine. Yeah. 40 weapons. That's how many they're adding. 8 of them being whips.
That's a lot. Holy shit, that's a lot.
It is. It's like, I think the number probably comes pretty close to what like base game Vampire Survivors had.
Yeah.
Like it's crazy
Kinda
how much stuff they're
the
putting
game.
in this.
So I assume the new enemy sprites and they're going to be based on previous games and that sort of thing. I would imagine.
Yeah, they got a whole big Castlevania castle, lots of enemies from it, lots of fun references. I saw from the one we really like, Soma Cruz out there with a handgun shooting at people in it. So, that stuff looks really good.
That's great.
So that's coming out for $4 on the 31st of October.
Okay, well, that, as much as I fell off of that game, I'm 100% getting that. Like, duh. $4? Yeah.
$4 and you basically double the content that's in the video game.
Crazy. Oh, look at
Although
these
if you
levels.
haven't gotten the Contra one is also very good.
Yeah, these crossovers are fun. I like that they do them. And this one in particular makes sense because, there's so much of that original game in there that in a way they owe them. It's not just an ode. They also are owed.
Yeah. But I do think that there's something very funny about Castlevania being like, can we put our characters in your game that ripped off our characters?
Yeah. Yeah, you wonder who approached who, right? I assume Castlevania came to them, but I don't know. That'd be great, though.
Yeah, it's good. And despite all the grousing I'm hearing from Bo and seeing some in chat, it is still the best one of these video games to play. Yeah, so
you're a big
check
fan.
it out. And try it.
I don't. That's Scott's thing. That's not my thing.
No, I don't think it's crap.
Scott likes the other ones and plays them. But even just you complimenting something other than Vampire Survivors, I know bugs John a little bit.
It does.
Yeah, but you and I found common ground with that one. What's it called?
Death Must Die.
Death Must Die is very good.
Yeah, I really liked Death Must Die.
Right?
Yeah. I really liked
Halls of Torment.
No,
the dwarf one.
Halls of Torment is also good, but what's the dwarf minor one?
Oh, Deep Rock
Galactic Survivor.
There you go.
That one was really good too.
And Matt Myers in the chat, same crap graphics.
I don't
It's
really
not
want to talk
about the
about
graphics, guys. It's not. That's not the point of the game.
No.
a rose by any other name or frame rate. It doesn't matter. It smells
I
sweet.
do-
People like it. It's
Yeah.
fine.
I think one of my favorite things is because obviously Vampire Survivors has always had whips. Part of being a Castlevania knockoff, you're going to have whips. They're adding 8 additional whips, and it's like, well, what's that going to be like? They already had it. What's it going to be? And I did see in the trailer for it, you know how in some of the Castlevania games, if you hold the attack button, the whip will just hang out there limp,
Yeah.
and you can just kind of hit the controller, and it'll just kind of go, sort of flail around.
Yeah.
That's going to apparently be a weapon in it. There was one where the guy's walking around and you just see the little limp whip going as he's walking around. I'm like, yeah, they got it. They got the theming.
That's awesome.
So it's great. And man, still $4. This is a lot of content for $4.
Yeah. Also, the largest map they've ever made, meaning level, zone or whatever, and it will be made up of a ton of iconic locations from previous Castlevania games. So you might be walking through part of Symphony of the Night and go, "Oh, I love that game," and then suddenly Aria of Sorrow type stuff will show up, and that's compelling. I want that. I'm gonna check it out.
And I'm sure it's going to have the music.
Yeah.
And like that alone is pretty awesome too, because they've always kind of riffed on it, but now you can actually have bloody tears and whatnot in the game, I'm sure.
There's also supposed to be something coming out from Konami directly that is a Castlevania take on Rogue Legacy. Remember that game? Rogue Legacy 1 and 2. Great games. But it's
really?
it's like a roguelike in that vein, but like a side-scrolling, with Castlevania characters. And I cannot find this news story. I had it.
Well, I remember Dead Cells did their tribute to it.
Yeah, it's like that kind of, except this is its own thing. Shit.
Oh yeah, it reminds me. Windblown's out today.
The Windblown? What the hell's that? Oh, the
Dead Cell sequel released today in early access.
Yeah, what's going on there?
Little side note.
I want to see that. Okay, all Castlevania games. Here we go. So I can't find this one. It was a thing I saw. Someone in the chat find this, maybe? It wasn't Dead Cells. It's its own game, and it's not out yet. It's still coming. And it's not connected to this.
Like Dead Cells, but it's not Rogue Legacy.
It's like Rogue Legacy. It's more like Rogue Legacy in gameplay, but it looks like you're just playing straight up Castlevania, but it's like it's more like a roguelike run every time you go do it, and you get stronger, and you have a talent tree that you unlock as you build and all that. I can't find it. Maybe I imagined this and had a dream about it.
You saw a news article about it today?
Not today. It was a few days ago, and I meant to write it down and go, "Oh, we should talk about that on Core." But then in my head, I'm thinking, "Oh, this will be everywhere by the time Thursday rolls around." Now I can't find it, so I don't know what.
I think you dreamed it.
I might have.
I think you're now just dreaming news stories, Scott. And you know what? What a good world. What a good idea.
Aren't you glad
Better
we're all
that
here?
than him dreaming I'm being eaten by Crofton.
Oh, that's right. Crofton eats people. I had a dream that Crofton was eating me. Here are my 2 dreams that make no sense. I had a dream where Crofton was eating me, and I don't mean in some sexual way. Everybody get your head out of the gutter. Like literally like chomping
Actual
on my
cannibalism.
flesh,
Yeah.
like actual cannibalism. And there was no other explanation. I didn't feel pain in the dream, but there he was just chewing my meat.
Yeah, you know what? You're really selling that it wasn't a sexual thing.
My meatus.
It's helped. The thing that you're saying is helping.
Sorry, meatus for those who get annoyed when we say meatus. Anyway, so
yeah,
there was that. But then I had a dream that a bunch of Ukrainian developers took me in the mountains to a lake retreat, and they were going to tell us about some awesome game they made. And me and all my friends were there. I think you guys were there, but none of us were talking. We had to like be really quiet and let the Ukrainians do everything. And we were at this thing, and we couldn't wear shoes. That's the other thing. We had to hike around these mountains and in these streams and stuff in bare feet the whole time. And then at one point they said, "Okay, we are going to show you game. Follow us. We show you game." And it was like the big day for the reveal. And we were all in a big line. All these Frog Pants people were with me, and all these people I didn't know. And we're all trudging down the mountain to see this final reveal next to this lake. They were going to tell us about it, somehow show it. I don't know what this is all about. It all makes no sense. We're all barefooted. And right as it's about to happen, my alarm goes off and I woke up. So I have no end of the story. And I don't know where we were going. I don't know what that was going to be. Not that it would mean anything, but there was no big reveal at the end of my dream.
It's wild.
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad that your dreams know there are 3 hosts on the show.
Yeah.
We got included. You know.
Well, also I was
even if we were
like,
just side
where's
characters, it
this
was nice.
going?
I
Because you can
appreciate
leave
that.
me out of it if it's gonna go someplace bad. But happy to be there if it was just fine.
Yeah, we weren't in the Crofton dream. We made out good.
Oh yeah,
John.
Crofton was not. Although for all I know, Crofton ate you guys first and then came after me. I don't know.
No. If you didn't dream, it didn't happen.
Didn't dream. It didn't happen. Dream.
I'm not
or it didn't
interested
happen.
in lore within a dream. I just want to know what happened.
Sure.
Is the game you're talking about Astral Ascent? But you already talked about that game.
No, I love that game, but that's not it. It's an actual Konami branded Castlevania title.
Oh, it's a actual Konami joint.
Yeah, and now I don't know why I can't find it. Maybe I dreamt it.
Let me go to Steam and
maybe
see.
the Ukrainians. Maybe in my dream.
I was gonna say, did we play it in the mountains?
Is it an upcoming release or is it out?
It's an upcoming
Barefoot
release.
in the mountains.
Is it Ninja 5.0?
No, it is not Ninja 5.0, although Ninja 5.0 is a very cool game. That's an old game, though. That's a GBA game.
Okay, it's getting re-released. It's coming soon to Steam.
Oh, no way, really? Ninja 5.0 is
Yeah.
awesome, you guys. That's a classic GBA game from back in the day. It's really good.
Nice. Not Eden Zero.
He's a ninja and a cop. He's great.
Part ninja, part cop.
It has incredible
all
music. Oh, Ninja
video
5.0.
game character.
100%.
There's Castlevania Dominus Collection. I guess that's just old games.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So
I don't know,
nothing?
man. I don't think.
Did I
No.
make? I swear I'm.
You made this up.
You know what I might have done? I'll admit there's a possibility that just entered my brain. It's possible I heard about this Vampire Survivors crossover, and in my head, I went Rogue Legacy for some reason because some roguelike name or terms were used because it is kind of roguelike. It is a roguelike. And maybe I just conflated them. It's entirely possible. But what I really want now is a Konami published, actual, side-scrolling based, a lot of characters involved Castlevania game that plays like Rogue Legacy. I would eat that up. Holy shit, would I play that? All right, well, that's neither here nor there. Let's talk about, you think Diablo is expensive when you want to buy some microtransaction skins and things. And you're like, oh, $24. Yes. Good Lord. You still think that.
I do think that.
You still think it's expensive. And I agree with you. It is. Well, move over because WoW would like to take the crown back as the most expensive digital item of the week. And that is, well, I think it's a little gross. The Trader's Gilded Brutosaur. It is essentially a reskin version of the Battle for Azeroth giant dinosaur that had both a mailbox, repairs, and built-in auction house. And you can have, for the very low price in US dollars, this mount for $90 plus tax, about 96 something with tax. John, how do you feel about this magnificent opportunity presented to you by Blizzard Entertainment and World of Warcraft Team 2? What do you think?
Yeah, this is overpriced like a lot of Blizzard items.
Yeah.
And grossly overpriced in this case. People are going to buy it. Obviously, we've already seen pictures and had people in our Discord and stuff saying like, I bought it. And what the funny thing is I love when people say that they bought it and then they immediately give you all their reasons why it's justifiable that they bought it.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, I bought it and here's why. It's like, nobody asked. Nobody cared.
Yeah. I mean, my take is you should go ahead and buy it. Obviously, they know they have whales out there that will spend this money. I don't judge these people. I know people have bought it who I really like, and I don't have any judgment toward them. I just think this is too expensive and it feels predatory to me. I don't like it.
I just feel like they got fleeced. If they feel like they got value, that we disagree on what happened. But like sometimes I watched Better Call Saul, and there's that scene where you see his bathroom, and he's got like a gilded golden toilet on a pedestal, and I think he didn't need that.
Yeah.
I feel the same way about your stupid dinosaur mount. You didn't need it, but that's just my opinion. Saul thought he needed that golden toilet. You think you need a $90 dinosaur mount from the store? We disagree. What I think everybody should agree on, this is too much for that mount. Even if you bought it.
Yeah.
Here's the thing that I would encourage people. Scott, let me just ask you, yes or no, do you think this is too much for this mount?
For me, it is, yeah. I think value is a hard thing to apply to every single person. But when I saw it, I immediately went, when I heard about it, I went, well, if this is in the $25 range like all their digital mounts, which has typically been the case, I would have maybe said, yeah, because that's a pretty good deal for a thing that will be very useful to me. And I've done it before in that game with something I really like. It's like, well, that's worth 25 for me. I'll get that. When I heard it was 90, I was like, no.
So you think it's overpriced. So that means now you're recanceling the instance. You're done with your WoW subscription. You're throwing it in the trash. You're never going to play it ever again. You're never going to do that.
No, that is definitely not happening.
Oh, okay. So let me understand then. The concept is you can think something's too expensive and not have to think that the game is bad.
Yeah.
Like these can be separate feelings.
They can be 100% separate feelings. Yes.
So that's all I'm trying to stress here, people, is like, I think even those of you that are buying it, like, this is too much for that amount. This is too much. If you spent money on it and you got it and you're happy with it, yeah. But can't you also say this is way more than they should? I should have only had to spend 25 on this.
Yeah.
Like, can't we all agree that this is too much and Blizzard shouldn't be doing that? It doesn't mean that you have to cancel your WoW sub. It doesn't mean you have to now go on the internet and say, I hate Blizzard and everything they've ever done. Just, this was too much for a digital mount for this game. This is too much.
It's a lot
of money. And I see people saying, like Kissy Bears in the chat, need is relative. How much have you spent on Transformers? Too much.
Yeah, way too much.
Listen to what I'm saying. Too much.
Yeah.
I'm not telling you what you can and can't buy. Nobody is telling you what you can and can't buy. But at least understand that when you look at this thing, understand that you're spending too much and go, yeah, they shouldn't have asked for that. It's an unreasonable amount of money for this, especially when you go, okay, well, let's compare it to other mounts.
Yeah.
Significantly higher for minimal, in my opinion, functionality increase. And in addition to that, like, it's damn near the cost of the expansion. On a equivalency chart, Blizzard's saying you're going to get as much out of this mount as you are the entire expansion that you just plopped down your money for.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. It's insane.
It is an insanely high price. Here's what I know, or something I learned recently when I visited there, because I didn't know this before going there. They had this building that I toured we toured basically the whole campus. And there were parts of the campus that I didn't even know existed. And that was interesting. And there were different things I got to see. But one of them was these offices that were kind of doored off. I couldn't get into them. But they're filled with data analyst PhD types. Highly educated, very highly paid, I would assume, individuals whose job it is at Blizzard is to do data analysis that is directly connected to things like this, to be able to say, like, all right, we want to sell this mount and we want it to be a profit base. How much can we get away with, do you think, and hit these numbers? That's all their job is to crunch them, look at historical data. They've got kinds of crazy models, and I assume a bunch of new AI stuff to help them with that, but just basically ways of figuring all of that stuff out. And so they know, almost as a science, because it kind of is a science, they know as a science what will work, to what level it will work. And they also have factored into that who will it outrage, how much of that will spread and turn into anti-buying, how much of that will come from influencers, and will they have an actual impact, or will people mostly buy it? Will there be a lot of complaining, but then people get over it and move on? Like those kinds of things, that's their job there, and there's a whole team of people who do this, a fleet of people. I'm 100% certain that this price was something they came to with reliable data that says, at least in the short term, they were going to make a shit ton of money on the whales with this. That I believe is true. I think they know that it would do well, that this would succeed. So everybody out there screaming, well, people pay what they're willing to pay. That's free market. I get it. That's what I'm saying. And they know that too. It doesn't mean that one or two of us can't go, I think that's a little predatory to do that. And that's what I think. I think it's a little bit predatory. I don't think it's the worst thing you can do. And I think a lot of companies are doing it. I could spend $500 on a skin over at Riot if I wanted to. I never would. Somebody does. And they have models that predict how much profit that's going to be. And so they do it. And you can love that. You can hate that. You can buy it. You cannot buy it. But the end result is, I think it's okay. Here's the funniest thing about this. I just put up a screenshot of this. A bunch of people have this. All right, here's the screenshot, everybody. Look at all those people. This is just in the main city of Dornegal right now. And I count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, something like 10 or 11 in the view that that we got the screen capture from that are all on top of this mount. Clearly, they're selling a day one. The main cities, the capital cities are full of them. What does that tell you? That Blizzard is right about there will be a percentage of purchases here, and they will make their money hand over fist.
And then at a certain point, they're going to discount it. They're going to go, hey, 15% off. And some people that were like, well, $90 was way too much. But now, it's a steal. It's a steal. I'll get it now.
Yeah. And then the people who said damn, I paid $90. I can't believe you can get it this much cheaper. Those people are going to complain. They factor all that in to this decision. And if the decision to do it if the math makes sense to them, they say go. And they do all hands on meetings for community, and they tell everybody we're about to release this. Be prepared. We're going to get some backlash, but we suspect these sales are going to do this. And I'll bet this thing is doing freaking gangbusters for them. It doesn't change the fact that I think it's too high, and I think it's a little predatory. I don't like it.
You remember the second Matrix movie?
Barely. I hate that movie, but
where he meets the architect and he goes, "Rest assured, this is our 6th time destroying Zion."
Yeah.
I'm upset about this, but there's a part of my head that's like talking to the architects. They know what they're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah, they've mastered it. They've got it down to a science. They know how to do it. You know what, guys? Buy it, do what you want. WoW is going to be the game you pay for. And, if you give them money for this, they'll keep doing it.
Yeah, they'll charge you.
I saw Bethesda talking about, like, for all the people that complained about horse armor, it sure sold really well. And that might be a bitter pill to swallow, but you know what? They're 100% right.
Yeah.
And anytime you're going to get mad about microtransactions and stuff like that, the problem is it works. The problem is it's profitable. And until that's no longer the case, it's going to be the reality. So this is just the reality. If you don't like it, don't buy it. If you want to buy it, buy it. You don't need to justify it to us. That's the other crazy thing is people like, you got to believe me why I think it's good. Let me tell you, here's why it works. People doing math, people telling you about, token farming and buying gold and cost values and all of that. Like, I don't need it. If you want to buy it, buy it.
Yeah.
But don't be surprised if a bunch of people buy it and they keep doing it. It's just going to be the way it works.
Yeah, it is the way it works.
Like, but aren't you there's always that asshole who's like got a fancy car and you're like, that asshole. Like, now you're that guy, but in World of Warcraft. You know what
I mean? I mean, yeah, I feel that way about some mounts. I'll admit it. I see them and go, ooh, I wanna get that mount. And
also, you have 128 mounts, right?
Well, I don't, but yeah.
No, well, you have a lot of mount. Like that's always the funny thing about getting a mount, even for free in like the expansion. I'm like, I've got 30 mount. I can't ride them all at once. Like,
yeah, but people love
something you already have a ton of, anyways. Like, I don't know. It's just
in this case, it's obviously there's more to it because the auction house thing is the only way you have a mobile auction house. And if you're a big player of the auction house, look, I get it. I've had people come to me and say, I hate how expensive this was, but I bought it. And I said, well, why?
Dornegal is so easy to get to.
I agree, dude. I said that in a video I put up earlier. Like, I don't feel the need to have it with me everywhere I go. But then again, I remember when I spent 300,000 or 30,000, whatever it was, gold on the Yak in Pandaria. Because the Yak did repairs and transmog on the go. And now, to me, that is a thing I can't live without. I'm not going to some town to find a transmographer to do that shit. And so I have to have that thing. And maybe there's a sense of that once you have one of these freaking lizards and you're like, well, no, I can't. I have, now I've got it with me everywhere I go and I can repair, sell, check my mail, and do auction house shit.
I mean, for some people, the game, like the auction house, is the game.
Yeah.
And I would argue those people should have been able to figure out how to get the kind of gold needed to buy the version of the mount that was in the game.
Yeah.
Because if all you do is play the auction house, you should have gotten enough gold to buy it. If not, well, then the main way you play the game you're not good at. Get good and buy it next time. But I mean, like for people that are like their game is the auction house, like having a way to bring the game to you wherever you go, like that's an awesome thing.
Yeah.
Of
course, you can't buy the old
too
one.
much money for this.
If you could go back, if I could go earn $2 million or 2 million gold and buy the lizard from BFA somewhere in a zone still, then I would probably do that at some point. I would save up and do that. But that's not available anymore. And in fact, I don't even think you can do black market on that one anymore. Maybe you can. But
I think it might be in black market, but yeah, it's definitely been removed from the game in a easy to claim way.
yeah.
Do you know how much that is Canadian, by the way?
90, it's about 100, let me guess, 125.
I was going to say 140.
Whoever's closer to 132, I think it might be Scott.
No,
The
John
Price is Right.
John wins, right? Wait, 25.
40?
Well, Price is Right is closest without going over, but
You got the lore right on Price is Right.
It's been a while. You're right about that.
$1.
That's amazing.
Yeah, so it's $132 now. That's more than twice what I paid for the expansion. It's almost a year's worth of sub. Like, do you get a year's worth of sub with it?
No, you do not.
no, you get a
What's the
mount.
minimum wage in Canada, 2024? How many hours is the minimum wager in Ontario? Wow, it's up to 1720. That's actually crazy.
That's pretty good. That's
Um,
what, only 13 or 14 here?
1720 or whatever. What's it? 132.
Yeah, everybody aims for 15 as
Divided
the
by-
standard here, but I don't know, it doesn't really work.
So it's a full work day to get just the mount, like an 8-hour shift.
One 8-hour
minimum
shift on
wage.
that mount. Yeah.
On that mount.
Man, that's basically
But
free.
it would only take you half a day or less. Only take you half a day or less to like earn the expand. I don't know. It's
expensive.
it's very decadent. I think the price point is great. It's like you know what I thought of immediately when I first saw it. I was like, oh, Microsoft wants to make its money back on its purchase. It's the Microsoft mount.
That's something Bobby said to me. He says, it makes me worried Microsoft's not really,
Yeah, I would call that the Microsoft mount, guys.
A
Welcome to
Microsoft
the-
Brutosaur.
Yeah. But you know what? Okay, let me tell you this. This is another thing that annoys me about it. And this is maybe this is petty, but this is the same model as the one from BFA. They just skinned it. And it's a beautiful skin, that new
Oh, it's a reskin? No, say it ain't so.
That's the same giant lizard, dude. They've added some stuff. The saddle is much more ornate, and it is very nice. Like what they've done is very nice, but it's still essentially a reskin. If they would have said, if they would have said, "Hey,
human?
if this would have been like a giant version of shoeless lady who you're trying to kill in this expansion, or something different," I would have been maybe a little less harsh about it because at least you're getting
the word
all
you're looking
new.
for. It's not an entirely bespoke mount.
Right.
That you because they've obviously based it on they've done some work. They cheaped out.
Yeah, that's my beef. That's my biggest beef.
Yeah.
I'm not even sure it's. Well, I guess the word could be cheaped out, but they didn't make somebody sit and for $90, something other than a reskin feels more reasonable to me. I don't know why, and it could be anything.
There's no mount that's worth $90 to me. Like, no.
What if it was a mount?
That is priced out, unless it's bringing me food to my house and also includes the cost of the food.
Yeah.
But John, it's the 20th anniversary. Surely we celebrate birthdays and spend a little extra.
No.
On ourselves.
I'm good.
All right. Look, John.
Actually, I will say that the greatest gift that quitting WoW for as long as I did, and still kind of have, but the greatest gift that gave me is because I walked away so successfully. I don't care about any of this. They're like, they've got the anniversary stuff in there, and it's like, this is only available during the anniversary. I'm like, well, good. I guess I'm not probably going to see it. It's fine.
This is how Microsoft gets everyone back for free copies of Windows.
I have
Microsoft
broken free of the FOMO, and it feels nice. I'd probably be more outraged by this if I had it, but like, I wouldn't buy this mount if it was $20.
Let me
I wouldn't
ask
buy
you
this
this.
mount if it was 10. So like
I do it for
90
10.
is like, okay.
I do it for 10. That's my line. But here's what I would say, John, to you to ask. So let me sweeten the pot. This mount, you sit on it, right? It's a big lizard. And it does all the things that it claims to do, auction house, mail, all that. But also there's a little screen in the back of its neck that lets you play Vampire Survivors whenever you want.
I have that on my computer that I'm playing World of Warcraft on.
But then here's the even better one. There's a character back there that sits in the rear, and he looks a little anime-ish, and you're not sure why. You click him, and it logs you into Final Fantasy 14.
Well, I can do all that for free.
Okay.
I have a computer screen over here where I could play Vampire Survivors, and I have a computer over here where I can fairly easily log into a different game.
Then my suspicion is correct. There's nothing that will move you from this. You're good.
What would I spend $90 on for World of Warcraft? I mean, I have spent over $90 on World of Warcraft
like
stuff. I did buy a well, sure, like overtime
years,
stuff, right? But I'm thinking like, what is a one-time payment thing that I would say I spent $90 on this and I would feel good about?
How about this statue right here? This dwarf on a bird.
I bought Frostmourne back in the day.
Yeah.
That was over $90. So I have a Frostmourne. That was expensive.
This is from, by the way, I should give him credit. This is Shatterproof had 2. He sent me his extra. It's beautiful, isn't it?
That's very cool.
Yeah.
Oh my god!
Look, his tail comes off, and you can put your weed in there.
There's nothing that's worth $90. You wouldn't spend $90 on anything except maybe like lifetime access.
I would have spent, if I had it, I would have spent $90 on that Sylvanas statue at the time, but it was kindly given to me.
But that's real life stuff, right? We're talking digital.
Right. What digitally would I spend $90 on?
Yeah.
A lifetime subscription to World of Warcraft.
I'd do that for 90. Yeah.
Well, it'd be more than 90, probably, but like over.
It would be significant. I think the Star Trek Online was more than $90.
Yeah, Star Trek Online was like 200 or
the game's been around long enough. Like, I think a lot of people would just buy a lifetime, but they'd be stupid to do that.
I'm trying to think, is there anything more reasonable I would spend $90 on digitally? No.
How about in Final Fantasy 14? Is there anything in there you would spend 90 on?
No.
See, to me that's the thing, is if everyone is thinking you got some kind of crazy bias towards that, I think you have the same attitude over there. It's like, why would I?
That's too much to spend on a digital game. Like stepping away from WoW and realizing, oh shit, I've spent so much money on this game that I might just be done with forever.
I think
it really gets you thinking about your digital purchases going forward.
Mm-hmm.
I think if your microtransaction that isn't an expansion, like a cosmetic, that is more than the launch box price of your product, is like a crime. Like, it's supposed to be microtransactions. Help support us. Buy all of them. Buy this one, buy that one. Soon you're charging. It's over 2x the expansion. For
definitely not a micro.
We have 100. It's not micro anymore. This is just this is rich people shit. This is like. You go to Gucci and you see a T-shirt for $5,000, kind of shit.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel as big because it's on a micro scale, but I mean, all these games, like, this is going to be a success, and when it's a success, EA is going to introduce the FIFA golden jersey or something like that. There's going to be more of it. Like, what we've learned here is these are not like exceptions they make to celebrate. If they succeed, they just do them more.
Here's what they'll do though. This is like introducing, you got a restaurant that has expected pricing. This is a burger that costs $22 and everyone goes, holy shit, what is in this burger that could be worth $22? And then what you do, it still sells well. People buy that burger. But then for everybody else who are obstinate about it, about a month later, they go, and here's some sliders, and they're only $12. And people go, oh, well, it's like a mini version of that one. That's much cheaper. I'll go ahead and get that. That's how they get you.
So you're saying there's going to be a crusty version of this?
I don't know what they're going to do.
Yeah, instead of a big brontosaurus-looking thing, it's a little ankylosaurus, and he.
That's another thing about this mount is I think is actually bad value. They made it big because you're spending a lot, but in the past few weeks that I've been playing, I've grown to hate all my giant mounts because they occupy so much screen real estate. I can't see shit when I'm gathering. Smaller the mount, the better. like I'm like, I can see. I like flying on my cockroach and on the little. I have a new moth, and it's barely visible, and that's the best because I can see the ground.
Yeah, I mean the idea is that you'd poop it out. You're not going to use it. It doesn't fly first of all.
Well, yeah, and then you go to fly to Dorngal and you see 5,000 transmogs. There's gonna be 5,000 auction houses on your mini map, and just it's so. Like,
I'm going to go use everybody else's. I'm going to go up there and like go. Excuse me, I'm going to use your dino for a minute. I guess they can.
I think
they can get rid of it.
Thanks for buying them. I'm going to steal them now.
Like they're actually actively ruining their game because we're playing the War Within. Everyone should be excited. I should be seeing bugs everywhere, and I see like no bug mounts. It's all everyone's dumb, mammoth or whatever. It's like, yo, get with the theme, buddy. We're here in bug world. Like it's. I'd love for my environment to reflect that we're all like stoked about being on bugs now because it's bug time.
Yeah,
it's like nope, everyone's just using the same 2 mounts constantly all the time.
That's why I bought the bear, the Grizzly Hills bear, because see, I'm part of the problem, although it was a lot cheaper, so I justified it. But that was a $25 bear, and all it is a brand new version of what the yak does, because I was so sick of looking at the damn yak.
That is true. Like
that's why I did it.
I love my yak so much, but I hate the yak as a mount. You know what I mean? Like I like the functionality, and that's obviously what a lot of people are going to say about the dinosaur. Well, it's not. I'm not buying it for the mount. I'm buying it for what it does. And again, that's 100% fine. But like again, let's all just agree, $90 is too much for that.
Yeah, I think you can. I see. That's where I think everybody can come together. If you bought it, great. If you didn't buy it, great. But please, can we all sign on the dotted line that says $90 is too much for a digital item in a freaking video game? I think that's fair. Even if you bought it, and even if you're freaking thrilled that you bought it, it's still too much.
It has no gameplay value. It's just a rig.
Well, unless if you love doing auction house and you love doing it out in the middle of nowhere, I mean, I could see the argument. But
I have mining and herbalism. I like offload tons of stuff. I press there's a button. WoW players, let me introduce you to a concept. It's called the Hearthstone. And you set your Hearthstone to Dornagal and click the Hearthstone button, and you're at the auction house. It's incredible.
It's crazy how that works. It used to be after, I don't remember what expansion they started putting them in the new cities, but most of the expansions up through something. I don't remember what it was. Legion, maybe. You just had to go all the way back to, your home city to do any auction.
Yeah, I mean, I played Classic this year. I get what your bag's full and you want to keep adventuring. You're like, man, I got to backtrack at the freaking crossroads, but I haven't finished killing harpies yet. Jesus Christ, I hate this game. But that's...
You think Star Citizen people? Do you think Star Citizen people are laughing at us right now because that's the greater example of digital things?
Why do they have a right to laugh? They still spent way more than this on a game that isn't even out. WoW's out. If I spend $90 on this mount, I can go play it in the video game. The video game exists for me to play.
Yeah.
Like, the joke is still on them. Yeah. They shouldn't be laughing.
Someone in chat room made a fun comment about that, where because I was talking about Titan, and they're like, oh, boohoo, Blizzard crying about losing 80 million. Meanwhile, what's Chris Roberts done in 12 years with 800 million? And they're still going. Like, they're a bunch of not scaredy cats, but a bunch of wusses to be like, oh, we lost $80 million. Titan. Oh no, so sad.
You know what's weird? That book says 80
Chris
million.
Roberts is like, that's a Monday for me. Bitches at Blizzard.
That book says 80 million, but back in the day, I remember 150 million being tossed around by like reputable people at the company. They were like,
could be 200 million. I mean,
I just don't know who to believe there. Like, is it 80? Is it 150? It's a big difference, I
mean, they did, there was mismanagement. I don't know why they gave up. That's the crazy thing to me. Sorry, I'm eating. I wasn't supposed to. Sorry,
the misophilia philia?
I forgot. I've been doing really good. Please forgive me. I just realized. I'm sorry.
Yep. No more peanut butter for Bill.
The banana's done, by the way. So there's no.
Oh, the
banana's
banana!
done. It's gone.
The banana's the
Right.
worst offender of all foods.
I know. I
to eat.
didn't realize I was talking with my mouth full, and I was like, "Oh shit, I'm on a show. God damn it!"
Yeah, it's like you
We had
can
an intervention about this. and I
peanut
was already
butter,
forgetting.
peanut butter, and banana are your top two. If you combine them, then you're just literally the
I'm
devil.
sorry. I forgot. Banana was here, and I'm hungry, and I ate it.
That's all right. It's all good. I've gained misophonia or whatever.
I don't know why they gave up. like isn't there a Titan still in the works now? Like,
No.
but why? Like, why would they give up? Like, I guess because of Bobby, because Bobby's dumb. But like, why would they stop?
Well, Bobby was dumb and Pardo sucked, and there's a lot of
Like,
reasons.
the long-term plan is like World of Warcraft can't go on forever. I mean, are we really going to have 82 years of World of Warcraft?
Probably not.
Like, at some point in the future, we probably were like to release a second MMO to ensure the money hose continues.
Yeah.
And we tried it for 5 years and failed, but you know what? It doesn't mean we should stop altogether. Like, what the hell? Like, why are we stopping?
They almost
We're the
made
MMO
a
company.
they almost made a Diablo 3 was almost an MMO before they scrapped all that. That book's the stuff on that is fascinating.
I know it's asking, like, expectations are really high. That's why I think Greg is doing it the right way, where he's like being transparent and trying to get it out quickly. Like, one of his goals is to get it out quickly, which maybe even for him, you might say, oh, it's a little naive because, you know,
Yeah.
like join the club, right? Like every MMO tries to release quickly and doesn't, but I applaud his effort for it.
I get to play their friends and family playtest next month. I'm so excited.
It's exciting.
Yeah.
It's good.
Yeah.
I think that's a great time, and you know, you never know when the next big thing's going to be around the corner. So.
Yeah, I'm really curious about it. But
He
I
doesn't consider the other two hosts on the show friends.
I don't think he knows.
Because I stalked him in an elevator.
I don't think
once.
that he knows there are 3 hosts. I think it's just
Oh, okay.
it's one of those
It's just
deals.
you. Yeah.
These other voices are just in my head.
He listens to instance.
No, I think it's because I host that show and they want me to have the firsthand knowledge. But I'll bet you money I know this for a fact. As soon as they open up for more slots, you guys are going on that
They
list.
can invite. I'll participate when they're ready. When they're like, we need some more bodies to do some tests.
that's
He
what they'll
described
do.
it on the show is that every round they don't want to just have the same people testing all the time.
Right.
Every round they want to bring in fresh faces.
Fresh
So-
faces
I
and
think,
grow the
I think
faces.
that's smart because
Yeah.
you need
fresh perspective.
you need additional like perspective that's new, not the evolved perspective that comes with an MMO, because everybody gets comfortable with an MMO and then they start, hey, WoW players, I'm talking about you, I won't be subtle about it. Then they start making apologies for things that are bad design simply because they're used to it.
Well, for a hot second, I thought that you were on the test, John, because he told that story about one of the players figured out that they forgot to put in a limit for usernames, and so somebody had put in an entire book or something, pasted a whole book in there, and then my
So the
first
whole
thought
book
was
just
like,
on the screen.
yeah, and I was like, is John in your playtest? Like, honestly, for a second, I thought that'd be something he would try, and not maliciously. You would just be like, guys, this is a bug. You don't want this. Look what I can do.
Yeah, he's testing. That's testing.
And he had
Call
this
me
huge
Ishmael.
thing over his head.
Dot.
And the way he described it, the words just went forever those directions and high, like paragraph
There's
wise
just
up,
no cap on the text
Yeah.
screen, and they just didn't think of it.
which, if anything, improves my opinion of Unreal 5, because that's amazing. You can do that and not crash the server. Have a whole book on top of the guy's head. Amazing.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So
Anyway,
so all that to say, like, there's a strategy Blizzard can do. If it's, I'm just shocked that there isn't, and being such a community oriented game, having such high stakes, but it seems like it's the Bobby Kotick of it all. But
mhm.
I mean, Microsoft's got to be like, so when's the next MMO coming out? Like, I don't know. It just seems crazy It just seems crazy for them not to be working on something.
And for all we know, they are, like, they're pretty tight-lipped about what they're working on.
They are tight-lipped. That's true, but.
Yeah. Maybe they are. I mean, I think they should.
We just heard so many cancellations, and knowing that they're kind of all hands on deck for release in many ways, it doesn't seem terribly likely.
Yeah, we'll see what the Microsoft money really does. It hasn't been long enough to know the impact, so we will see. All right, let's move on to this story. I'm just glad we finally have this Metal Slug Tactics. John played the demo. We've all been excited about it. turn-based tactical game set in the Metal Slug universe, finally has a release date. They released a video with some more gameplay and the date is November 5th, so not that far away. I will be playing Metal Slug Tactics for sure.
I will too. I love the art style of those games.
Yeah,
So good.
big time. And the animation seems to all be there the way you like it from those games. And it's got the style and the feel and the vibe. And it's turn-based tactics, one of my favorite things. Like, we're in, baby. Just look at this chat. Here, I'll play some of this video. Look at this stuff. Yeah, look at these guys. And they're all moving the way they do in the games. Look at the army guy. Usually you're just tearing those dudes apart. But no, in this phase of the battle, you got to go toe-to-toe. Oh, and there's tanks and mechs. Oh, I'm so excited. Anyway.
Yeah, it does look kind of cool, actually.
I'm jazzed about it.
Seeing it. It looks kind of neat, yeah.
Very jazzed. I'm right, you played the demo, right?
Yeah, I played the demo of it. It was pretty good.
You liked it.
Yeah.
Marvel Spider-Man 2 coming to PC, but weirdly no story DLC. I thought the story DLC wasn't out for anybody, but I guess this is something different than I thought.
No, it is 2 stories. It's in here weirdly, but just to clarify,
Yeah.
basically they've announced 2 things with regards to Marvel Spider-Man 2.
Okay.
One, this is a good news, bad news, son. Do you want the good news first or the bad news?
Tell me the good news first, Dad.
Well, the good news is, I know you like playing on the PC. Marvel Spider-Man 2 is coming to the PC in 2025.
Good Lord, that's great. You know, the power of the PC finally and the greatness of this game. Tell me the bad news now.
The bad news is, you know how that first Marvel Spider-Man had a lot of story DLC support?
Quite a bit, yeah.
Yeah, this isn't getting any of that.
At all?
None.
Period.
Across any platform. No story DLC for Marvel Spider-Man 2.
Are we?
It's not because it's integrated into the game.
No. It just doesn't exist. And that.
They were going to do it. They had a roadmap for it. It's not happening.
So I'm guessing, once again, corners cut. Can't afford it. Sales weren't as good as we thought. The industry's in a downturn. All those reasons.
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know. It sucks. Just as a weird aside, because I assumed eventually it would pop up in the DLC. Why can't they put the Ben Reilly Spider-Ben costume in the video game? It is literally the best Spider-Man costume that's ever been made.
It's pretty good.
And designed. And
isn't it in the 2018 game? Or am I wrong?
No, it's not in any of them. They
thought it was.
continue to not put it in the game, and I don't understand why. And they, even in Spider-Man 2, they have this little thing where you have to catch a bunch of these little robots that have come from like alternate realities or whatever.
Yeah.
And they're all basically designed after alternate Spider-Man costumes.
Mm-hmm.
There's a Spider-Ben costume in there.
It's just not one you can wear.
Chat, would you pay $90 for it? Almost. It would almost be worth $90.
We found John's line. Everyone has a line, dude. You have a line. This is where it is right here.
I didn't say yes, though. I'm still not at a yes, but it's one of those things where, like, so the first Spider-Man game, everybody was like, well, there's no black symbiote suit. There's no Spider-Ben. I think it's the sensational Spider-Man suit is what you would call it, but it's weird. And they were like, yeah, well, we're going to do the Venom suit in a future game because Venom's going to be in the game. Yeah. It's like, okay, well, that makes sense, but they're not going to do the Clone Saga. Put the damn costume in the game. What are you doing? You've got these people that are designing costumes exclusively for the game, and spoilers, they're all horrible. I don't like a single one of them.
You don't like any of them? Man.
Maybe, I don't know. They put in like, I don't know what the actual numbers are, so I'll just do percentage. There's maybe like a 1% of the like original concepts they put in there I like.
Okay.
But that could just be me. I'm very nostalgic, and I'm very like, it was all better before, so everything new is bad. That's not true though, because like Iron Spider's a fairly new costume. I think it's cool.
That is cool, yeah. So, but in the old game, they kept adding part of the DLCs where you got new costumes a lot, right?
Yeah. So I don't know. I don't know if that's going to happen or not now that the story is all getting cut.
Yeah.
There are rumors of a standalone Venom game that should be coming out because it sounds like that's going to be taking the place of what Miles Morales was. You know, they kind of do like the big game, a smaller scale game than the big game.
Yeah.
It sounds like the next one is rumored to be Venom, and I do know that some of the story DLC was rumored to tie into like Cletus Cassidy and stuff like that. Maybe they're going to roll that into the Venom game. Who knows, but certainly sucks if you're a Marvel Spider-Man 2 fan to find out, yeah, they're not going to support that game as well as you might have hoped.
Well, that's a bit of a bum. I don't like that.
Yep, that's your bum of the week.
Bum of the week,
for
everybody.
sure.
Spider-Man 2, no DLC, but PC version coming, and it is a good game. So watch
It
for
is
that.
good. It's very good.
Squadron 42 got an official gameplay reveal. Speaking of Star Citizen, their single-player game got an hour of footage put up on YouTube. Bo thinks it looks great. I've not seen it yet, but Bo, tell me what your impressions were.
Well, we actually get to see a lot. Like you got your Gary Oldman. You got a lot of Gary Oldman. You got a lot of
Stuff
English guy, I
mocap
can't
from
remember
years
his name.
ago, right? Like forever ago.
Yeah, I mean, you got Gillian Anderson in there. She's your captain.
Mhm.
She's like, you know,
Who?
Gillian or Jillian. Sorry, I'm thinking of Gillian
Murphy.
Gillian's Isle.
Gillian.
No, from Community.
Community.
Britta's name is actually pronounced Gillian. Sorry, I
That's
think
right.
her name's Gillian Jacobs.
Jacobs.
but
Yeah,
that's-
different one.
But you say it with a hard G, not a Jillian.
I didn't know Henry Cavill was even in this. I thought
That's
it was
new. That's a new one.
Okay.
Does he have a
but yeah,
mustache or no mustache?
No
He's
mustache.
barely in it. He's only in the first few sections where he's like the Helldivers guy. Join the military today, and he takes off in his plane. That's it.
Yeah.
Very possibly he's another character in it. You get a teaser about Mark Hamill and what character he's playing, which is an old veteran hotshot pilot, and you're like, "Oh, hey, Mr. Hamill, I'm here to join the military." And he's like, "Listen, I don't care what your name is. Like, do something awesome. Maybe I'll know your name." And then he just takes off, and it's like Mark Hamill's pretty good, and it's a vibe. Just skip right to the end if you want to see Mark Hamill. But
Name
mostly
is Duke Space Skipper.
Yeah.
So the actual vibe of like the trailer is like you're a new recruit, you're just shitty infantryman who's just in a turret, but then the ship gets hijacked, you get suited up, that kind of a deal.
Yeah.
It looks good. The graphics looks good. I don't know about the melee combat so much, but it has that element in it too. But given that it's 12 years, and it's Chris Roberts has made some games I've enjoyed. It's not like
He's a legend for a reason.
It's
sure.
absolutely possible. This is one of the dream games he's trying to come up with, and we're gonna get hit right in the cerebellum with awesome video game experience. Completely possible.
Yeah.
And so far, what I've seen here in this trailer is like exciting. I'm stoked. I'm ready to play. I'm ready to press purchase and play the game. I think the mocap, like the writing's good, the pacing's good. It's taking its time. I want to get into a ship and play some Wing Commander. I'm ready.
I
This is
actually am
good.
too. Will this be a thing I can go to Steam and buy and download? Like,
Probably. I'm guessing no. I'm guessing they need the 30%, given the amount to spend. So I'm pretty sure you're gonna have to go buy it from them directly. But that's fine.
well,
I'm
if it's
fine
just,
with
but
it.
I can
It
still
looks
go
good.
somewhere and spend 60 and walk away with a game. That's what I can
Yes.
do. Okay.
That's the plan. That's what Squadron 42 is. Forget the other stuff.
John knew
So
where I was going with that. It's just really annoying that, oh, that was on purpose. They're showing me faces change, but they're showing how they can change. They're dynamic. That wasn't a glitch. All right. Anyway.
It's work in progress, but it's
Oh my gosh, they have some famous people in here. Scully's in this. Mark Strong, the first Space
yeah.
Marines.
Mark
in it.
Strong, that was the name. Everyone's a celebrity, pretty like everyone's an actor. So it's like, isn't it about if Ubisoft might have been right about the quadruple A, but just not their games. It might be this game. This game might legit be quadruple A, considering just how much.
I love it. They're over there at Ubisoft calling their own game that, but really what they meant was someone else's 12-year-old in development
They meant
game.
Squadron 40. They were thinking of Squadron 42 when he said that.
Yeah.
This is, we've talked a lot of shit about Star Citizen and the bullshit that's there, and they've deserved it. But that aside, if I just forget, I don't know who made this. Let's say I just watched this. I'm like, I want this game now. Give it now. It looks cool. I watched the whole hour. I was enthralled. So
I mean, I love these kind of games. So, the original promise was exciting to me.
Yeah.
And this is a guy who's made full single player spacefaring games that are considered all timers. So in theory, this shouldn't be a problem. New day, new money, new engine, new.
I mean,
You know,
I played Wing Commander 1 and 2 till my eyes bled.
yeah, they were amazing
and
games.
I
Freelancer
was
is
a
one of my favorite
teenager,
games
and
of all
that's all I
time.
wanted to do all day.
Yeah. I could play Freelancer right now if it was in front of me. So yeah, you know what? I'm going to share your excitement. That's what I'm going to do.
I'd like, say what you want about whatever. This in its own silo, this thing's awesome. It's a movie. It's an hour and 14 minutes. Like, it's just watching a movie. It's awesome.
Yeah. Someone in the chat says the last game he completed was in the 90s. I think that's not true. I think
No, that's not true. He did Dungeon Siege and stuff, and I think
Yeah.
that's probably over into the 2000s. So
Sure.
no. And also,
Man, Dungeon Siege was crazy.
Yeah, it
he
was.
did that RTS, is that Planetary Annihilation? What's the
Ultimate
RTS he did?
Not Ultimate Annihilation.
Total Annihilation.
Total
right?
Annihilation. Wait, that's not Chris Roberts. That's
No,
other
not
guy.
Total Annihilation. That's
Oh wait, we're thinking of, you know what? Total Annihilation and Dungeon Siege are the same guy, but it's not Chris Roberts.
okay.
Hold on.
I thought Chris Roberts did an RTS, but I could be mistaken.
Let me look it up. But he's a legend.
No, he did not. Apparently, Freelancer was his last game, 2003.
Okay, so yeah, it was 03. That was definitely not 90s. But point is though, the guy, this could be the moment, right? This could be the thing. So I'm going to hold out hope. I'm not going to be cynical about it. I'm going to park all that to the side, and I'm going to look forward to Squadron 42, which I guess. So when do we get it? We get an hour of.
The date was announced as 2026. However,
Ow!
Many have commented. Many have also commented that we'll be lucky if he keeps that date as well.
Great.
So.
Pat's reaction to that was priceless.
I'm gonna die before this game
After
comes out.
such a big rant about, like, I'm gonna believe I'm putting all my setting all the skepticism to the side.
I mean, if he doesn't hurry, he's got a bunch of actors mocapped in this. They're all going to be in the in memoriam section of the Oscars before this comes out.
The game's dedicated to everyone that appeared in this video game.
The rumor is that the game is feature complete and they need 2 years for polish.
All right. All right. I'm a little bugged by the timing, but I'm okay. When did we first hear about this? And we saw Mark Hamill's face and all that. That was like 2012 or something.
It's 12 years ago.
Good Lord, dude. Yeah, 2012. That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
42 isn't supposed to be the amount of time, how many real years pass before Squadron 42.
Basically, every time John says just release the game, they delay it by another year.
John, quit saying the words. If you stop saying it, it'll come out. What a weird thing. It's a weird thing. The whole thing around this, Star Citizen, all of it, it's weird. So I need some closure on it before I pass from this planet.
Yes, I know. It looks good. I want to be happy about what they've done. I want to join the Star Citizens.
These the problem when you
I want to be a part of that group.
The problem is when you go this long, you run this risk of the engine being completely outdated by the time you're ready, and then you got to convert.
If it's all rendered in engine, it looked great. It didn't. I don't know. We'll see. It's just hard to know, man. That thing could launch and be like a 1 out of 10 on Metacritic. You know what I mean? Like it's.
Oh, can you imagine?
We'll get there when we get there,
The expectations, they'd be so shattered if no one liked it. There's going to be, you think Plain Ice is an interesting book. Wait till you get the freaking Chris Roberts book.
Buy Nice.
Yeah, what do you call it? What would his book be called?
Pre-order today.
Pre-order now. See you in 15 years. Or see you in 15, the Chris Roberts story. All right.
Yeah, it's kind of funny because you think 15 minutes, but it's actually 15 years.
Rest in peace, the entire cast of Squadron 42. All right, let's move on. IGN did a best 25 horror games of all. Whoops, I just deleted it. Best 25 horror games of all time. I wonder how many of these I've played. Let's look at the top 10, shall we? Because 25 is a lot. I'll just start with this.
Yeah, show's long enough.
Sure.
Let's just do the top 10.
Silent Hill 2 is currently their number one pick. This is an IGN list. And it's not just the remake, but I assume it's, well, they do say they include it, but they're really just saying, hey, 2 is where it's at.
It's really that good, eh?
It's scary as hell. I mean, they're saying scariest.
Why are we... I have to call into question your performative nature here, Scott. Why are we starting at number 1 and going back to 10? Once you say number 1, nobody cares anymore.
That's a good point. let's jump to number 10 now. When we're done, we'll meet right in the middle at 4.5. You guys ready for that?
Okay, great. Yep.
Number 10, they give it to Friday Night at Freddy's. Sorry. Five Nights at Freddy's.
That's a great new property. Friday Night at Freddy's.
Friday Night at Freddy's. Good stuff. Resident Evil 4. I think that deserves to be higher than number 9, but whatever. Left 4 Dead 2 is currently at number 8.
Left 4 Dead's not scary.
Left 4 Dead 2.
I don't think Resident Evil 4 is that scary either, but I guess both of them could be put in the horror category.
You know what? And I got to keep reminding myself, this is about what's scariest, not what is the best game necessarily, right?
Well, it says best horror game, so it doesn't necessarily mean scary.
Well, the game doesn't scare anybody. It's not really horror.
That's true.
You know?
Well, Outlast made number 7. That game nearly gave me a heart attack. So
that is the game I thought killed Scott.
Yeah.
So yeah, it probably belongs on here.
You know that GIF where I completely lose it and freeze up and act like I'm going to die? It's from that game. And it was early, like the first 10 minutes of that game. Anyway, Alien Isolation at number 6. I agree with that. Game's scary as hell. I'm going to try to finish that.
Play this. I own it. I still haven't played it.
I own it too because it was on sale for like $2.
Such
like a couple month ago or something like that.
Such a good game. I didn't finish it, but it's so good. Dead Space number 5. I played that this last year, and then also
original or remake. Oh, it's remake.
Yeah, I think I think they're kind of saying like both. Like,
yeah,
you don't have one without the other.
It puts the date right next to it. I feel like that's
January 27, 2023. That's definitely remake.
Yeah, but you know what I mean, though. That's the same game with a new coat of paint and a few tweaks. Like, it's not. You have to honor the.
But I'd also argue that Dead Space shouldn't be on this list. But
really, Dead Space gives me the shits. It scares me.
Yeah, I guess that's the thing about horror. Is like, is it that scary? It's like, it's a little scary. Some jumps, but it's not that.
Space horror gets me, but in movies that doesn't bother me at all. But in games, it really gets me.
If we're going off of games that scare us, I hate to tell you, but this list is going to be like 3 games for me. So I think it has to be subjective.
That's right. John is not. He's not frightened. Here's the difference between John and I. All right, some of you are going to hate that I'm doing this, and that's okay. But when John is scared, he goes like that.
Yep, I'm scared right there. That's the same reaction to me being scared.
When I'm scared, it's very different. Very different reaction. Someone in the YouTube said, we need to retire that scream. No! I'll use it when I want to. All right.
Yeah, no, that's a classic that can never be retired. Sorry for the people that don't like it.
It's fine. They'll be all right. They act like it's every episode, and it never is.
It's a 3-hour show, and the clip lasts a second.
Yeah, you'll all be okay.
The ratio's okay.
PT at number 4. That was only a demo, but wow, the potential there was palpable and was a damn scary thing to play. I think I like that it's on here.
PT genuinely scared me.
Yeah.
I will give PT. This is the first thing on this list of what we've talked about. Alien Isolation might, because I do genuinely find the Alien scary, but I don't know. I haven't played it. I might not.
I think you should. You should play.
But so far, PT is the only thing on here that I actually found scary when I played it.
We also have Amnesia: The Dark Descent at number 3. That game I couldn't finish. It scared the hell out of me. I really didn't like that game because of how scary it was. It was pure terror, that game. And anything with the name Amnesia in it, the other newer one they made where it was in a mine in the 20s or World War II or something, or World War I, I don't remember. But it was, whatever the setting was, same problem. I hated it. I tried. I couldn't do it. Much love to whoever donated that one, but I could only get so far. It scared the hell out of me. Amnesia belongs on this list as far as I'm concerned because it's scary as hell. Resident Evil 2 is on here. I don't think RE2 is that scary. However, the addition, the 2019 remake and the addition of Mr. X constantly, that shit got, you were there. You were there.
I was going to argue with you if you were leaving it there. I was like, Scott, I watched you quit that game.
Yeah.
You were not, well, we've reached a good stopping point. I watched you pause, freak out for a while, and then go, we're done. Turn it off.
Yeah, because of Mr. X. If I had played the OG one, that one never really got to me that much. But that thing, freaking Mr. X can eat a shit. Freaking hate
what's
him.
going on with IGN?
Why? What's wrong?
There's an ad for a sex show on here.
Yeah.
In Ottawa.
Well, it's personalized ads, Bo. It's based on what you search for.
So it's based on your browsing.
Yeah.
I clicked it and I've seen some BJs.
Oh my gosh.
Well, it's because
you're prepared to
it's in
see a lot
Ottawa.
more now.
What?
It's because it's in Ottawa. Like it's a live show. It's a sex show that's live apparently, and Chatterbait will be there. Awesome.
Great. You should go.
Thanks, IGN. Thanks.
You should go in there and get that looked at.
Get that looked at. Get one looked at.
And then at number 1 is, if we never said it already, Silent Hill 2.
Oh wow, what a surprise!
Yeah, shocking, right? Other Resident Evils, of course, showed up on here. 7 should be in the top 10. It's easily the scariest thing I've played outside of these Amnesia games. It's completion, I guess. That thing scared the shit out of me. Soma was scary. There's so many scary games. Alan Wake 2 is on here. There's a bunch of good stuff up higher. Visage, that scared me. I played that for a hot minute. A lot of these are like, oh, remember Manhunt? That used to give me the willies. It was a PS2 game or something.
Yeah, Manhunt was, man, what a crazy thing.
Yeah.
Remember when we thought that was the pinnacle of like, now people are going to kill each other because they played this video game?
Oh, yeah. That was a big, and it was Rockstar, so they're always getting the controversy. Everyone thinks their games are murder simulators, and that was no different with that. Evil Within is on here, the Slender Man thing. What is Stay Out of the House? That's number 25 at the bottom of their list.
I don't know. That was the only one on this list that I had zero knowledge or awareness of.
Stay out of the house.
I don't
That's
like
what I
it.
used to get told when I was a kid.
Came out 2022. It's only 2 years old. It looks retro PS1 style. They're on purpose. Let's see. You have 3 days to plan your escape. Will you scramble for a weapon? Set the serial killer's traps against him. Help other survivors. Is this multiplayer? Huh. It uses like a VHS filter and a CRT filter on everything. I don't like it. This is scaring me just looking at it. Goodbye, dumb game. All right. There's that. Let's move on to... Oh, Bo, I think this is you. Denuvo? I don't know what this is. Tell us about it. Tell us about the story.
Oh, well, we don't have to talk about it too long. It's just we were laughing. I was holding court today in court chat over bitching about Denuvo. Apparently, the CEO has been going on a PR outreach to gamers because people like to shit on Denuvo, and they would really like people to know that actually it's really important part of gaming.
So remind me, Denuvo's like a anti-cheat thing, or what?
Yeah, it's the anti-cheat thing
Okay.
that everyone blames for slowing down their games. And so they try to do some public outreach to be like, it's actually not slowing down your games, guys. So they opened up a Discord and was met with wall-to-wall toxicity and closed it down 2 days later.
Oh my gosh, dude! What did they think was going to happen?
Who could have possibly seen that coming?
Yeah, I don't condone that stuff, but like literally, I can't think of a company with the least amount of goodwill from anybody, and understandably, a company wants to have good PR, so it's like it's not the most, it's not a wonder that they want to maybe be liked so that they can drum up business, but everyone hates them. Everyone hates DRM, and you're just villains. And there's a few people who in the chat who are like, "Oh, I know people who work in that DRM business, and yes, it's a dirty business." Like, they go to C-suite executives, scare them about lost sales, and then get them to put their garbage in your games. Like, and so we collectively are paying electricity to run their software we don't want in the games we do want. And like the Steam is anti-piracy. The fact that it's more convenient to actually buy a game than to download it, and from you can get it from a trustworthy source with no malware, is enough to make me pay instead of get for free.
Yeah, there's your DRM. You don't need more than that. You're good.
But the funny thing was just that it was just the comedy of like a CEO being like, "Listen, guys, you guys are being really toxic about Denuvo and DRM. Like, I think you need to understand that we're actually doing a net positive for the gaming industry. And like, you can reach me. Scott, you have a policy. You can reach me anytime.
Yeah.
Like, I think this
Email
guy was like, talk to us anytime about your questions. And then it was literally just a Dragon Ball Z laser beam of verbal abuse.
Yeah, it's like saying it's good for me to poke your testicles with a hot knife. What's the problem, everybody? You know what? Reach out to me personally and let's talk about me poking your testicles with a hot knife. Like this is the most out of touch thing I've heard all day.
Yes, it was super out of touch, and somebody got a reality check this week on that front, I'm sure. So
yeah,
there you go. But yeah, I don't want to get too bogged down in the criticism. We all know why we hate them.
I've forgotten who they were, but now that you've said it and I've looked around at some of the games that get like overwhelmingly negative reviews, and I steer clear of them because they all talk about Denuvo with such hatred.
It's entirely possible that, because I read an article that was talking, it was by a DRM specialist who was actually saying like Denuvo is actually one of the better ones, and it doesn't have a lot of overhead, apparently, compared to many other ones.
Yeah.
But Denuvo is like super hated, and people just believe it slows down their game.
Huh.
Even if you were to like, use magic and just know the truth and be like, oh, it causes a 0.001% performance loss.
Yeah.
You won't never notice it. It doesn't matter because people believe that it slows down their stuff, and it's not needed to run the game.
Yeah.
And no one really feels that sorry for the developers losing money in that. There's just never been a good case made for it, and people just hate DRM in all sorts because that stuff reaches farther and farther, right? Then it gets to the conversation we're having now, where even Valve's like, you don't own your games, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just like they're all like, you don't really own anything. Like we just get your money.
Yeah.
And you don't own anything.
Yeah.
So, Denuvo's on like the ass end of goodwill here in that whole that spectrum of conversation. And I have a feeling they might be losing some contracts because there's a downturn in the gaming industry, right?
Yeah. Why would you? Yeah.
So they might be like, let's ship with that Denuvo. They're very expensive.
Yeah.
As it turns out.
It sounds like a bit of a scam.
Yeah.
Well, good luck, everybody, with that. All right. Got some Steam some deals of the week, everybody. It's kind of a new thing we're doing here. Let me play a little music while I do it.
That song I haven't heard in so long.
Yeah, it's been a while, right? Let's talk about them. Steam deals. Fallout 76 is only $9.99 right now, down from $40. That's a great price. Game's good. They also announced some new stuff for it. So if you like Fallout, you might like 76 right now. That's on Steam. Wayfinder 1.0 happened. I already reviewed this game on the show a number of times, talked about it, play it a bunch. It's great, and it's on sale for $22.49. The release reviews are very good. This is a game that originally was an MMO, then was going to be a free-to-play MMO, then pivoted entirely to be a pay-for action RPG style MMO junior kind of game, and they did it quite well. So,
Junior,
if that makes sense to you or sounds like something you'd like to check out, that game's rad. It's worth checking out. It's from the what's the name of the company? Shit. Anyway, the ones that made the Darksiders games and
I forget the name of the company. Yeah.
Airship Syndicate. Is that it? I think that's it.
See.
Airship Syndicate. I think I have that right. Anyway, they're great, and you should support them. Vampire.
You do have it right. You do have it right. Yes.
And it's just covered in that Joe Madura style art. Like all the character designs, the weapons, it's just like Joe Mad everywhere, like it's always been for them. It's part of his deal. Anyway, Vampire Survivors, we just talked about, just in time for our news today. The base game is down to $374. You add that to the DLC John mentioned, you're under $10. You got the complete deal, pretty much. Well, you have that in the DLC that includes all this Castlevania stuff.
Just a little aside, because I'm on the page. They have a Critical Role supporter pack where I guess you can play as characters from the campaign.
Oh, that's cool.
For Wayfinder.
Yeah, oh, yeah. I saw they were doing some crossover. Also, I noticed their promos for that. Liam was wearing my Dungeon Murder shirt, and that made me happy.
I saw that. He was wearing Dungeon Murder, and I did the Leonardo DiCaprio thing where I'm like...
I know that. I know that property.
One of the greatest memes ever made.
It is. It really is.
Here you go, PlayStation 5 owners. Lego Star Wars The Skywalker Saga Deluxe Edition. Fantastic Lego game, I think. One of my favorite Star Wars Legos games. $17.49 was $70. Briefly on sale right now, so way cut down on that one. And Resident Evil 4 Remake down to $19. It's usually $39.99, so a good price on that. So get your Halloween on, PlayStation users. On Xbox, we have Hogwarts Legacy Digital Deluxe Edition for $23, normally $80. It's a pretty big deal if you like your Harry Peters. Okay. Dead Island.
I think it's Harry or Hari.
Hari Parter, I think is how you say it.
Hari.
Mario
Merry
Potter.
Christmas, Harry Potter.
An angel did take me. Let's see. Dead Island 2 Ultimate Edition, $45.49, usually $70. That's a great game. I like Dead Island 2 a lot. It's kind of on sale everywhere, so check around. And I thought this was a good one. Tiny Tina's Wonderlands. $59.99 is only $11.99 right now. That's a pretty steep cut.
That's a good price. Yeah.
On the Switch, Balatro, everyone's favorite weird poker-based thing that we all love. I think most of us do. Or I think Bo didn't like it.
No, Bo hates it.
That's right. Bo's
It
not a
made
fan.
the list of the top PC Gamer's top 100 games of all time.
Yeah.
It's now up there, and it's the game Bo was like, talk about an overhyped piece of shit.
It just doesn't do poker properly.
You're right about that. It is not proper poker, but I think that's the idea, is that it uses some poker.
I just can't. I like elves in my cards. That's all.
They're doing a Cyberpunk crossover and some DLC coming up free. So you get like Cyberpunk cards.
Balatro?
Yeah.
Skins or like mechanics?
Skins,
like Netrunner
mechanics, a bunch of it. A whole bunch of stuff. And also there's another one for who's the little bald crying kid that runs through dungeons? What's that game called?
What?
Who's the little bald?
What?
Are you talking about the Binding of Isaac?
Binding of Isaac. Thank you.
Oh my gosh.
The way you described it was.
He's always crying. He's always got tears going down, right? Two little streams of tears in his...
Yeah, no, I know.
My
I
goodness,
got it right
that
away.
was
But
a fantastic description, but honestly, congratulations, Bo, for winning.
the times that
Guess
I get
obscure
something
video
that John,
game.
Yeah, the times that I get something that John doesn't also get it is very few.
It's pretty rare.
So
So good job though. Cold. So that thing, Binding of Isaac. There's
it is what the
crossover
game
there.
is though. A baby running through a dungeon crying.
Yeah.
That's what the game
Yeah,
is.
it's a great game, and don't get me wrong, I like it.
Yeah.
Anyway, Balatro down to $12.74, normally $15, so good deal there. Also on the Switch, Cult of the Lamb, $12.49, was $24.99. Great game, and one of my favorite all-time games of the last 10 years. I love Spiritfarer so much. If you've never played it, here's your chance. $7.49 on that device, usually $30. Great game. Love that game.
Yeah, get that. That game's good.
It is very good. Those are all your hot deals for the week. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we'll have a Dear Martha. Oh, I haven't put one in yet. I should find one real quick. I'll do that before we come back. And then we'll do a bunch of other stuff. Talk about the games we played and a few other things, your feedback and more. So stick around. We'll be right back. All right, here we come.
Think of me when you have your death farts.
Yeah, I'll let you know. I'll let you know how that goes. All right, here we go. And we're back, everybody. Welcome back to the program. It's time for Dear Martha, where we like to throw a little thing you guys put together, and we hear from the front line, where Martha's husband tells us how that feels and how things are going. John, this is just in. We got a text that is that we're going to work from today, and it goes like this. How do live service updates affect Martha's husband on the front line? Is his health, damage, or ammo, if his health, damage, or ammo gets changed, I think is what he meant, how does that affect his day-to-day? Perhaps he should write a letter to Martha all about it. How's that sound? You want to do that?
That sounds great.
Okay.
Let's do it.
You're getting a patch on the front line, basically, is what's going on.
Yeah, that's what's happening.
All right, here we go. Let me cue that up. I thought I had it up. I don't. Just a moment, please. Okay, great. Now I have it up. All right, here we go. 3, 2, 1.
My dearest Martha, it is with great exuberance that I write you today. For we live in a time of war and strife, trials, tribulations, turmoil, bloodshed. There are good people fighting, dying, and sacrificing greatly for whatever battle we're told we must fight on any given day.
Yeah.
But the greatest thing of all, Martha, is when you find your rhythm, when you find how to be most effective in battle. There's nothing quite like suddenly face rolling the competition, as they say.
Yeah.
But this is not an easy game, Martha. This is not like it used to be. Unlike what Ron Perlman might tell you, war does in fact sometimes change. And Martha, what is commonplace today might not be so tomorrow. Take my good friend Reggie. Reggie was a fantastic fighter. He didn't actually have to shoot his gun to kill anybody. He just dodged. He'd roll around and people would just explode all around him. Nobody could quite put their finger on it, but it was an amazing feat. And there was nobody happier on our squadron than Reggie. Reggie was a happy man. Till suddenly he wasn't. Martha, Reggie died 3 days ago.
Oh, shit.
He tried rolling around the enemy, and suddenly, they didn't die. Little numbers popped out of their head. Where once there were 4 digits, now there were only 2. And the enemies laughed at Reggie. Shot him dead right there in the street. You never know what's going to change, Martha. Anything is possible.
Yeah.
Michael, another good fighter. Well, one day we came in and he was wearing a different shirt. Michael was well known for his shirt. It had funny political commentary on it. But apparently, word got out, and other people didn't find it quite so funny. Now, he wears army fatigues just like us. And Michael, nobody even remembers him. No personality at all anymore. I write this letter to you, Martha, because I myself don't know if I will ever change. Perhaps one day people will grow tired of my linguistics, and all of a sudden I don't talk no good, Martha. Maybe people just don't like my voice, and all of a sudden I'm somebody else.
Yeah.
It's like that. One day you're one person, the next day you're someone completely different.
Mm-hmm.
Thus is the way video games work. And the patch cycle. Yours in this life, and the next.
Yeah.
Eloquent Dude 92.
Eloquent Dude 92. Ask for him by name. Well done as always. That was great stuff.
I like the shot him dead on the street. They
Yeah.
laughed at him and shot him dead.
It's pretty good. All right, let's talk about the games we played.
War patch done.
All right, we talked about Amazon games a little bit, and I played one of their games again just to see how things were looking. There was a big patch to New World. It's kind of almost like marketed as an expansion. What it really is like a reboot or like a relaunch. It reminds me of what ESO did when they, what they call it, the one Tamriel update. It's like that kind of, except it's not about scaling zones. It's about just tons more cutscenes, way better voice acting, way better starting experience. A lot of the game is still there the way it was, but you walk into an area and go, oh, they moved all this shit around, or this is different in this city, or whatever it is. It doesn't really fix John's biggest problem with the game, which is aesthetically, you were never really in love with the look of the thing. It was just like, here's generic explorer guys out doing explorer generic stuff. It's not very fantasy. I mean, there's fantasy, but it's not really, I don't know. It's not John's vibe. It's still not that. This is not going to draw people like you back. However, despite a couple of queues I was in to get in, it's a lot of really nice improvements. Controller support is really good. It's on consoles now. That's the other thing that this helped launch, or this Aeternum rather, patch is all about, is launching on consoles. I got to level 30 or something with a character just to kind of play it out so I could talk about it on the show. And I don't know how their endgame looks. They added some PvP and some raids and things. I haven't done any of that, so I can't speak to it, but I can tell you that the 0 to 30 experience that I had this time versus last time is a lot smoother, more fun, responsive, less janky. Like, this feels like this is a pretty good game now, as pay for it once and play it MMOs go. I think it's a big improvement. So
there's no sub fee for this one?
No, this one is just buy the game, which I already had, and this patch was free, and just play it is how they have it right now. I mean, they have things you can do outside the game, I think, that are like ESO. There's, perks and stuff you can buy or whatever, but for the most part, the entire game's there and you don't have to sub to it, and it's not free to play, and it's not, full of constant story reminders about buying stuff. It doesn't really do that at all. The crafting stuff
Can I buy a $90 dinosaur?
No, unfortunately.
Okay.
But if you could, then this game would have to be a lot more successful at this point than it is.
This game would need a subscription fee.
Yeah, it would need a massive base of players. Although by all accounts, sounds like it's doing okay on the Steam numbers, at least, and hard to say where it's on consoles or other stuff. There are mounts now. That's the other thing, and that's a DLC you do have to buy that gives you the mounts. It's some kind of added thing that adds mounts as part of it. The game originally didn't have mounts, but I don't have that right now. But combat feels better. I am playing with a controller because I wanted to see what was up, and it plays great on my Steam Deck. That's another nice benefit. And it's cool. I'm not ready to donate a ton of time to an MMO while I'm playing a lot of WoW, but it is definitely an improvement. So if you were out there on the fence going, maybe I should check in on New World, I think it's a good time to check it out. The run's really nice. Not having my fan no longer goes, what? Like it used to. You guys remember that? When that game came out, it was like hardcore. It was crazy. That's much better. So yeah, I guess grats to Amazon Studios for figuring their shit out. And a few of those people I know, just they used to be WoW people, and they're all working really hard. So I wish them the best on it. So there's that. I also
before you move on, do you want to take a step back because you went too far?
I forgot about the shared play shit. My bad.
That's fine. I just know you want to talk about this a lot.
I do.
I didn't want to leave it behind.
It's funny you'd say that because I would have been annoyed it wasn't in my list because I thought I added it, but you're right. It's up in our shared. I forgot you got this. So, all right. Linked, Lynked, Banner of the Spark. If this sounds familiar, it's because Bo played the public beta thing they did not long ago.
I was in the beta. And I sent them some feedback.
And you enjoyed your time, though early. And,
I did. And I also have Linked. I've played a little bit.
Yeah. You did get it. Okay, cool. We can all talk about this a bit then. I really like this game. There's a couple things I hate about it. I'll get to that in a second. They're all surface level things that aren't that big a deal, and I shouldn't be that worked up about it. But the game itself plays really well and is a combination. I don't know how they're doing this. It's a weird combination, but it's like the combat reminds me a lot of Hades, which is a good thing. But there's also a grappling hook that plays into it a lot, and there's lots of wacky combos to do with this grappling hook device that makes it really, I think, kind of sets it apart because you still have a weapon that can change up a lot on your missions, but then you always have a grappling hook. So it's this combo of things that makes it kind of unique and interesting. I won't get into all that because Bo's talked about those basics before, but when you're not running these missions... Sorry, go ahead, what?
You can use the grappling hook to do lots of, it doesn't just pull you, it like pulls enemies and does combo hits on enemies and stuff.
Yeah, and if some enemies are like hurt, you use the thing to pull them to their death, like a finishing move. When they're not quite hurt, it does move them around or pulls you to them or them to you, depending on the enemy. Like you're right. And then a lot of environmental stuff you can pick up and throw and that sort of thing. This is important to mention, I guess, that this is a Dreamhaven game, their first one, and I can feel some of the Blizzard influence here because
I think they're publishing though. I think FuzzyBot is not a studio like.
So they're not part of any of that. Then they're not part of their group or any of that stuff. I
think Dreamhaven, just like we were talking about Netflix, I think Dreamhaven also wants to publish games additionally to produce their own. So my understanding is this is a partnered game.
Okay.
For them, but it's still, I think you're still on the spot with saying this is a polished.
Yeah, it's a polished,
very polished game for early access.
Yeah,
like,
for
not
sure.
A single bug that I've encountered.
I didn't even know it was coming out. Big thanks to Shatterproof for buying us copies. I think. Did he get everybody a copy?
Yep. He's a 3-host guy.
He's really great. We love him. He's a benefactor. We like to call him. He's maybe our chief benefactor. Just love that guy.
He's a patron in the other sense. Where you don't get hung for being channeling the devil, but you're brought under the royalties wing. They're just like, here you go.
Yeah, he's a bit of both because I think he's a patron also. So he's just like he's a nut is what he is. We love him. Anyway, so the combat aside, feels real good. I like it a lot. I think the combat is satisfying. The missions aren't too long. They're not too short. They're interesting. There's a lot of variety. That stuff's cool. Multiplayer will also be there. I haven't done any of that yet. Here's the part I didn't know. I didn't know this game had like a whole Animal Crossing element to it. And I say that and I'm not kidding. Like buy furniture because you got some reasons, you got some currency now to buy weird furniture for your house. Go fishing. Knock that tree down, or every few days or whatever the cycles are, the trees grow more fruit. So go bang those trees and get the fruit off the ground and then go sell that stuff and make some more currency and do this in between missions to unlock stuff and talk to characters around town and, all that sort of thing. By the way, fishing is one of my favorite fishing mini games in video games. And I can't believe I'm saying that because I kind of hate them all. But this one uses the grappling hook that's built into your arm like Mega Man arm. And you shoot that grappling hook out to grab a fish that happens to be jumping out of the river. It gives you a little visual indicator he's about to leap. You pull these robot fish in, and instead of doing the whole like pull, let go, like the typical, or wait for a bobber to wiggle or all that shit you do in every game ever, this is a thing where it's like a little mini game with a wheel. And you're just trying to hit the green spots, and it's kind of fast. You got to keep your eyes open and hit it just right. And there's smaller green zones for harder to get fish, but you want to try to capture all the fish that you can. And there's a whole collector aspect of this thing, like Animal Crossing. And then they're chronicled in the kind of equivalent to the museum they have in this town that you're in. And all of those things, I didn't expect all of that because you didn't really get into that when you played the beta, right? You were mostly just doing the combat.
No, I was like, skip. Like, when's the next mission?
Yeah.
Like,
And I
I'm not an
love
Animal
that
Crossing
stuff.
guy. Now I appreciate that stuff because like I'll play Valheim.
Yeah.
But I think because I wanted to test the actual gameplay. Sorry.
No, it's okay. I get what you mean.
The fighting. I mean, like
Yeah,
fighting and the So I kind of just focused on that part, which was good. I thought it was good. But yeah, It didn't occur to me to like upsell the Animal Crossing base building side of things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, which I totally get, especially coming from your perspective on this. I maybe lean harder the other way. I like the Animal Crossing aspect of games, and Animal Crossing.
It's not that I wouldn't get into it. It's just for the limited time I had in the beta, because I think the test was 3 days or something like that. The time I played, I didn't want to play.
Yeah, it was really short.
But like V Rising is great. Like I like a lot of that stuff. So if I give it a chance, it's possible I could get into it, but just haven't yet.
Yeah, so that's what I spent more time doing that than I expected, partly because I was surprised it was even there. I just didn't know. And so after a ton of time with it, or a bunch of time with it, I'm convinced that if they nail this by the time this is in 1.0 launch, like squash any bugs, optimize frame rates, get it in a really nice place on Steam Deck, which right now it's a little choppy on there. It shouldn't be in the end. It'll all be fine when they optimize. But I think this is a very cool game, and it feels really good, and is the kind of loop I like, where it isn't just fighting and it isn't just managing my little town. It's this really good combination, and that's tricky to do those two things and have them both be fun. That's hard, and I'm known for my chorecore enjoyment. There's some of that in here. And it feels good. It feels as good to me to go, all right, we're doing a mission where I'm going to fight some stuff. That's fun. But now I'm going back and I'm like, all right, I earned some shit. Let's go spend that. Let's make this weapon better. Let's improve my reaction time, or how long it takes me to dash, or whatever upgrades I can get while I'm in town. Like, I feel motivated to do both sides, and that's hard to do. A lot of games miss that, and I like one more than the other, and then I fall off because I don't want to do one of them. Mileage may vary, but so far feels good to me. Thoughts, feelings. What do you think?
It feels like 80s. Well, I'm curious about the drop-in, drop-out multiplayer, because the big thing too is that this is a play with your friends kind of game, like do dungeons together kind of thing. Mm-hmm. So I'm wondering how that feels.
Yeah, it's
I don't know.
Good
that's
question.
where like I would like to explore the game a bit more.
Yeah, there's also a kind of, I forgot to mention, there's like a Pokemon element, where there's these little robots that are hiding in trees or otherwise buried or something like that, and you're trying to catch them with the grappling hook, and some of them are harder than others, like the fishing game. It's kind of like that, but you have to chase them around physically and grab them, and when you do, you get rare ones, you get duplicates. You're not fighting with them, but they're worth more money if they're rares. So when you go back to the store to sell them, you get like 800 credits for one instead of the regular 200 or whatever.
I wonder if this is like local co-op, because this seems like a good game for John and to play with the little ones potentially.
Yeah, might be a bit of both. I know it is online for sure, but there might be local as well. Yeah, it seems like the kind of thing that broad age appeal to this, right? The whole Blizzard thing of and hopefully Dreamhaven thing of easy to pick up, hard to master is the vibe I'm getting from it. So there's enough. I am
curious though, Scott. What were the things you didn't like?
I can't stand their voices. Let me play a little.
Oh, he couldn't stand it enough that he had to get evidence.
He's like, no, I'm gonna prove that.
All right,
he's not wrong for the record.
They basically do the
Simlish, right?
Simlish. It's what it reminds me of. So here's a bit of it. Hold on, that's a robot. Okay, keep talking there, buddy. I hate that so much.
Yeah,
Wait,
I
this is
don't
a good point.
like
Before
it.
John gets into it, to remind listeners, the game is linked. Lynked. Okay,
Yeah,
sorry.
thank you. That's good. No, so John, why, you agree with me? It's annoying.
I agree. I don't think it's good. There's something charming about the way Animal Crossing does it. There's something charming about the way like Banjo-Kazooie does it. This feels like if you took the worst aspects of Simlish and the worst aspects of those other games and put them together for one ultimate, like, the robot's called Buddy, and I immediately didn't like him because I just couldn't stand listening to his voice. He's
Really
like,
annoying.
I'm Buddy, and I'm like, I shut up.
Yeah,
like,
and it's
I
his
don't want to hear
inflection.
from you ever again.
It's his inflection, right? It's like that yibba dabba gooba gabba goo, goo goo goo, gooba gabba goo. And it's like, stop. Just go or anything.
Yeah, they're robots. You could literally do anything, and you picked the worst option.
I like the way, again, sorry to just keep bringing Yakuza, but I like the way, not just Yakuza, but Japanese games, if they're not going to voice the line, they just voice the first word, and it's usually, hey.
Oh, I do kind of like that. Yeah.
Nani? Like, it's just the first, yeah, just do that.
Yeah, lots of games do that. I don't mind the ones that do, like, modulated robot-y, like, that's fine.
Yeah.
But if you're going to go... this is full Simlish, just not Simlish. It's
they might as well
idea.
have just recorded voice lines at this point, like, you know.
I think some of it. I think that voice I just played, I think, is a dude, and he's doing fake language, and he's been told to be very crazy about it, and it's just the wrong direction. Just pull that back some. This is early access. This is a chance for you to not have that. Get rid of that.
Yeah, I did not. I did not like it.
What if we did a special edition of Core where we just did that for 3 hours?
All right.
Good. Did you not like to be host of the show?
It would all be good fun. We'd laugh. Then the YouTube comments would be like, "It was an improvement."
Yeah.
Then we'd be bad.
Yeah. No, and the other thing too. Okay, so the games, those SteamWorld Dig games, they do it right. That's how you do it. Do it like that. I'm not even just mean robots. Like just have humans. I don't care. Don't have them try to say fake words. That's not fun. I hate it in Sims. I don't like it in this. Don't do it. It's bad. All right. Gameplay wise though, John, did you have a good time in there?
I did. I'm not very far, which is why I wanted to ask you what the things were that you didn't like. Because anytime, I'm not very far into a game, I'm a little hesitant to be like, not really feeling it, because it's like, well, I barely played it. Like, I've played through the intro, I got to the building, and then I feel like, once again, I'm kind of a mix between the two of you, because on one hand, I am like Scott, where it's like, I love the Animal Crossing aspect, like that seems like a thing I would really like, but I'm like Bo in the sense that I'm like, no, we're doing this fighting thing. I'm getting into this. You just had me go through the tutorial. So now I feel like, okay, I know what to do. And then you're like, let's take a break and build. And it's like, no, I want to apply the knowledge you just gave me. You just gave me knowledge. Let me now go use it in the game before you give me a side activity. And I got a little annoyed that it was like, hey, build a base. I was like, no, I'm not interested in building a base. So I quit out of it. Yeah. But I like, the gameplay is good. The other thing I didn't like, I'm be honest with y'all, I think the character creator wasn't very good.
No, it's super basic. That was my other beef, is that none of that felt great.
I think the character creator is bad.
You don't like generic Fortnite look,
Yeah.
I think Fortnite looks a lot better than this.
Sure.
Like it's just, it doesn't look good, and there is a whole big discussion that I don't want to get into, but this does walk up against it, and it's a little unavoidable. This is a game that does body types.
Yeah.
You basically pick a body type. Yeah. And I think that is fine. I think I don't mind inclusion in video games, but here's where the issue is. I was struggling to find anything that looked the way I wanted it to look. So I settled on something. Yeah. And then I tried to put together what kind of like my typical character would be. And when I was trying to make it look like a lady, it looked like a guy.
Mhm.
So I went, okay, well, I'll just make it look like me, I guess. It seemed to be incapable of making a character that's female, so I'll just make a dude.
Yeah.
So I tried to make a dude, and I was successful. When my character walks around, they swerve their hips like they're going down a runway. And I'm like, what is this animation? It doesn't fit this character at all.
Yeah.
And it looks bad.
You can't preview the walk animation on the body type. And that
No,
seems to be
you
crucial.
can't. And I'm gonna assume it's the same walk animation for every body type. I would assume, but maybe that's not the case. I don't know. I haven't tested it. It's this weird thing where it's like, it's almost like in their attempt to be more inclusive, they've become more limited. And as a result, I was like, well, I don't like my character, and if I don't like my character, you've kind of cut me off from my portal into the video game.
Don't you think that's just a matter of like, you could add, they just need variety in there. Right now it's just too few choices. There's just nothing in there to choose from.
It's just not clear what
That's
it
a
is,
factor.
and it's like it's just odd. It's just,
I
it's
think
just
if
really,
you're
really
picking
weird.
an animation, if you're picking an animation set, like forget even like the broader question that you're dancing around, like just what, like not only what does it look like, but how does it animate so that it
Yeah.
fits whatever I want to create. It's kind of just stuff that you should just
Yeah.
be able to preview.
Yeah.
So
The animations don't feel like they're going for this very neutral package in terms of the character creator, but then it doesn't animate in a neutral way.
yeah,
And
like
I think
sometimes you
that
run
that's
the same way
problematic a
regardless,
bit.
right?
Yeah. So I was just like, it was a very, like, it was kind of a jarring frustration where it's just like, oh, I don't really like the character, but I'm going to spend even more time than I usually do in a character creator. And for one this simple, it's not worth doing. So I'll just get into it. But your investment's going to be lower in a video game if you are given the ability to create a character and you don't like the character you made.
What if you turn the music off and played I'm Too Sexy for My Shit?
Then would be a big improvement. I would probably be on board then.
Less likely to be able to stream that without being tagged or whatever.
That would be fantastic.
Yeah.
So anyway, that was something I didn't like. The story is a little basic. It's fine.
Are you seeing all the girl body types? Like, it doesn't say that, but it's like clearly they show like an outline. Because I was looking at it for a while, and some have boob outlines and some don't. And you're like,
do they? I couldn't tell. On
the gray, not on the character, but on the gray little thing. It's like, because nobody really has boobies. It's just a different rectangle kind of shape that you have on the front.
Yeah,
like it doesn't really
the game
make a big
avoids.
difference.
I don't know why I don't know why it's so basic, but basically it's androgyny across the board. Nobody looks exactly
right
typical.
I forget what I was gonna.
I didn't mean to interrupt you. Sorry.
That's okay. My brain. Yeah, I don't remember where I was going with that, but like, just I know that I spent some time trying to figure out what body type is right, and they're not categorized. They're kind of like alternating.
Yeah, they have like thin one, average one, large one, thin two. Like it's just like these real basic.
Yeah,
like descriptors, and
it's just a clarity thing, anyways.
Yeah,
so.
and again, I don't know if they all animate the same. I mean, they could all have the exact same animation for all I know. I don't know, but to me, it's one of those things where it's like, I feel like my general belief in gaming is that this should be, the pool's big enough for everybody to get in. Everybody should come in and play that wants to. Like, everybody's welcome. But this feels like a case of trying to maybe be more appealing to a larger audience and somehow making it more restrictive in the process, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it's like they're afraid to lock in on recognizable stuff.
Well,
and also it's early access, so who knows?
That's character creator shit too, because one of my biggest pet peeves that I've been running into a lot is eyebrows that are too bright. Like you'll be making your character and you'll pick a hairstyle and you're trying to, like, the colors are kind of matched up, but maybe you want to make like my eyebrows are like darker than my hair, maybe not, so you go a little shade, or you're picking around, and then you get into the game. It's happening in Baldur's Gate a lot, but other game this happened in Diablo, I made a spirit born, and I get into the cutscene, and it's like they got glow in the dark eyebrows, and I'm like, well, that didn't look like that on the character creator. Like, I don't want to look like a goofball with like neon, yellow freaking eyebrows. Oh shit! Same with makeup. That happens with makeup too. Makeup effects.
Yeah.
It's So I think just this is. I think the point I was trying to make with like they're putting the boobies on there, anyways. That you can just label them a little clearer or just show the walk animation. I find it crazy that there's different walk animations actually.
Well, I don't know that they're different, but I know that the one I got was definitely coded in a very specific style.
Sure.
I would assume that there would be different, but I don't know. They might all have real sassy.
They don't have a lot of hairstyles
shaking,
for like
so
like all the long hair ones are like have braids or like feminine things that I wanted to make a male character that kind of had my vibe to it, and there's no hairstyle with my like hairstyle when I was making my character. So it's like there's just not a lot of options. Like,
and it's not like people are gonna go, well, we're going to link to Banner of the Spark for the most robust character creator of all time. But again, I do think it's important to give people a portal to make the character they want to make.
Yeah.
And I think that is a spectrum both towards including people that are, groups that maybe get overlooked, just as much as it is letting people like Bo put a hairstyle on somebody without going, wow, I really must have just come from the salon, I guess. Like it's about it is about including everybody with those options, and it's weird because this feels like a step in the wrong direction in that regard.
I think it might simply be I'm speaking for people that haven't told me this, I don't know, but when it's early access like this, it feels like some of that stuff is gonna be basic because it's early access. You're gonna add more later, but maybe not. I don't know. I don't know. But I hope you're right.
Maybe.
Or I hope.
But I mean, that's
I'm
feedback
right
for early access.
Yeah.
Then,
my hope is they'll fix that because that's my other thing I didn't like is how limited that is. It's not
label
great.
the hip sway, please.
Yeah.
Yeah. Am I gonna have a sassy hip walk or am I gonna have a non-sassy hip walk? Let me pick, and it's fine. I think that's a great choice to give players. So I didn't love that. I thought the story was okay, but I'm with you guys on the gameplay felt really good. And I was starting to have fun. It kind of starts you with the training wheels on a bit.
Oh yeah.
And as they came off by the end, when I got to the boss fight, I was like, oh, this is that first little tutorial boss. I was like, all right, this is cool. I'm having fun with this. But that's also why I stopped playing, because I was like, yeah, look I just applied my knowledge. I'm feeling good about myself. And they're like, you want to build a town? I was like, I do not.
Yeah.
So,
I had that feeling too in beta where I was like, oh, please take me to the next level.
Yeah, see, I think that's going to be a challenge for them to make sure people are smoothly transition to that and want to do that. I think that's hard. I felt that, but I don't think that's going to be true for everybody, especially at first.
It's not that I wouldn't want to do it. It's just maybe I'd do it later.
Yeah. Well, Hades has one of the things that I think was really smart about Hades' design is it starts you in the game.
Mm-hmm.
If you're good enough at Hades, you can have a hell of a run from the moment you start that game. In fact, you probably beat the game on run 1. I think. I don't know for sure, but it just puts you on the path. It's like go do it.
Yeah.
And you do unlock more things, and there's obviously changes and stuff, but you are playing the game from the jump. So by the time you die, whether that's quickly or you make it for a while, I think the first time I played Hades, I made it to the first boss or mini boss, and I died there. By the time they boot you back, you are probably looking for a break. You're probably going, oh, I do want to talk to other characters. I want to explore the castle. I'm ready to take a cool off period from what I was just doing.
Mm-hmm.
This game, they just give you the tools, and they're like, all right, you ready to draw? They gave you all your art supplies. They're like, you ready to draw? And you're like, yeah. They're like, all right, go build a town.
Yeah, I get that.
What? No, I don't want to do it. So it's a bit of a pacing thing, but the gameplay is good. I think there could be really something there. I'm going to keep playing it. It's not like it put me off the game completely, but I didn't have a ton of time to play, and that was the thing that kind of killed the momentum for me.
Yeah, I get it. Yes, we'll keep our eye on it. It's early access, brand new. It's not very. That's the other thing. It's not very optimized. Some of the frame rate stuff's a little fishy, even on top end machines. A lot of people are saying, but also most people are accepting the idea that this is early, and we'll see how things go. I want it to succeed, not just because I really want to see Dreamhaven succeed, and I do, but I want to see. I like games like this. They're presenting me with two kinds of things that I really like doing. And doing them together sounds like a good time. So give me my town time. Give me my fight time. Give me my town time. Give me my fight time. All right. Now we'll go back to your normally rescheduled Scott mess up. I talked about New World, and that's fine these days. How about Citadelum? Citadelum. Excuse me. I'm choking them.
It's a brain part, right?
It's a mouthful.
Citadelum.
And I don't want to confuse anybody, but excuse me, in the Greek alphabet, the U looks like a V. So on screen, this game looks like it's spelled Citadelum or something. But it's not that. It's a U. Citadelum is how people should search for it if you're looking for it. Excuse me. This is like the old I forgot the name of the company who made them, but if you remember Pharaoh and Caesar and the Zeus games, these old games, Caesar 3 in particular, Pharaoh and the Nile expansion thing, I forgot what it was called, and then the Middle Kingdom one that was set in China, ancient China. These were fantastic games that just absorbed me when they were out. I loved them. Late 90s through early 2000s. I don't know what I'm choking on. Anyway, they quit making these. They went away, these people. They got sold or whatever. They were part of Sierra at the time. And nobody's really made great versions of this since, in my opinion. And that's exactly what this is. This is somebody making one of those games, in particular making Caesar 3, really, again. But doing it with a very pretty graphics engine, all 3D, rotatable, all that stuff. No more 2D sprites. But a lot of the same elements are there. Connect things via roads. Make sure you have fire protection towers that are looking over the buildings catching on fire. If you don't do that, you may lose a farm or lose a building or whatever. You have overlays to tell you when there's a water problem, a health problem. You build buildings to sort of solve those issues as well. The single player is a bunch of missions. There's also support in Steam for workshops, so people are already submitting those. And I don't think there's a multiplayer portion to this game, but there is some military stuff. So you build up some military and you do some fighting and defending. Some of that is optional, especially if you do like the sandbox mode. You can just kind of do whatever you want. It's exactly what I wanted. Some people have said, well, this is basically Caesar 3. I want something more than that. And my answer to that is, no. This is what I've been asking for. No one makes these anymore. So someone made me one and made it beautiful, and now I have one again. So I'm happy with this game. And it's only $19, which is the other advantage of it. It just came out. It's PC only. It's like keyboard and mouse driven stuff, so you can't really play it anywhere else. And if you remember those games or played those when you're just trying to improve, like I need better quality food for this neighborhood, or I need a market that will cover more area, or I need a bigger warehouse to hold stuff I need to trade to other cities. Oh, there's that other thing. There's a trade route thing that's all like a whole other layer to the game where you establish like, hey, Rome and Sicily need to get it together and trade with each other or whatever shit you have to do with them.
So you organize that through your town.
Yeah, so you're kind of in charge of making that happen. There's difficulty levels that determine like, how hard costs are going to be or how frequently disasters happen or how often you get attacked, that kind of stuff. So you have a lot of control over your experience, how chill you want to be or how intense you want it to be. I think this is one of those games, John, we always talk about we like turtling up in our RTSs.
Yes, we do.
This is a comfort for me in that regard because it's basically turtling the game, historic turtling, really. And it's not even like I'm playing against what the game offers. It's meant to be, let's make a great city. Some people may not like the mission structure because these kind of missions are like the old games, those old games like Caesar 3, where the goal was to do whatever the 5 missions or 5 goals were for the mission, and then you start over with a new town and do whatever the next missions are. if you do like a big open sandbox, you don't have to worry about that. You just build forever and see how awesome you can make it. But they are kind of like, you need to start from scratch and go nuts and see how well you do, and then you'll start over. That frustrates some people because they want to have some permanence to their city. But that's how those games were, and so I still sort of like them that way. It also has a full aqueduct system, so it's very adherent to the era. Like, the Romans were famous for figuring that out and piping water everywhere and having some form of of movable water and that sort of thing. So those aqueducts are in here, and how you store water is all sort of historically accurate. What I hope comes from this is I'm going to play the shit out of this because I love these. These are my Zen games. Absolutely love playing them. I want them to keep going and go ahead and make a Pharaoh ripoff. I don't care. Do it. Get the ancient Egypt in there. I'm happy to play your game. They seem to have all the struts for what these things need to be built upon, and I really like it. So derivative, yes. Am I okay with that?
Okay.
I'm 100% okay with that because it's exactly what I wanted. Is that? That's the feeling I wanted. I'm getting it. I'm very happy with it. So again, the game is Citadelum. It is $19 on Steam. Grab it.
I've seen in the trailer for it, it seemed like big people. Who are the big people?
Oh, sorry. I should have said something about that later.
Tell me more about the big... God, I'm interested in the big people.
The big people. So one thing to remember is the game has little people always running around your city, and they're doing jobs, just like those old Impressions games. That's who it was. So in Caesar 3 or Pharaoh, if you had a guy in charge of bringing water to the homes, there was a little guy out on the street, and if he was placed right, his route would be just right. He would go out all the right houses. Those houses would improve because he's bringing water to their homes. This is just like that. So little dudes represent this. They're all in 3D now, but little dudes running around doing their jobs. Later in the game, religion comes into it, and it's a gods system. So you would have Athena or freaking Apollo or Zeus or whoever. Well, once in a while, or however, I haven't gotten that far, so I don't know how you invoke it.
All your favorite Battlestar Galactica characters.
All the BSG regulars, they come down on the Galactica, and little vipers pop out of the sides, and we're all good. And they say, by your command. No. So there's like big, tall, oversized gods that will occasionally, or however they show up in your town. I haven't gotten there, but you can invoke it with your temples and stuff. And they come down and they give you blessings. So, or curses, I suppose. But if Athena is I'm trying to think of somebody who's like good for crops and stuff and production, whoever that is, they'll come down and they'll walk around, and then they'll suddenly stop and like bless a building, and it'll increase production of that building. So that building that makes, say, bread, it will make way more bread and better bread, which means the houses will benefit. So you want to please the gods. You have to do stuff to make them happy. There are some systems like that in the older games. This seems a little bit more explicit, and they're represented, as Bo puts it, as very big dudes who just kind of
They are very
town.
big. Like the people only go up to like their ankles. Like these are. You thought the lady in Resident Evil was tall. This is a very tall lady.
Yeah, very tall lady. I guess I could show the trailer's a little more explicit about that. Let's see. There's the reveal trailer. It's a small team making this thing too, and I always like supporting them. And they seem to be like me, where they just yes, here's a huge person walking around, throwing shit around. And eventually you're building great wonders, and the Parthenon, and look at Zeus just checking out the building. It's a kind of a weird look with these gods, but I don't know what it is about these. These have always just been right up my butt. I just love them. Love these kinds of games. And finally, I think I found one that got the message, which was, don't try to reinvent everything. I don't need you to do that. I just want a graphically pleasing, beautiful, satisfying, slow burn builder like this that's set in a time that I think is interesting. It's a very cool game so far. All right, what else we got going here? I played some other stuff that is kind of usual suspects. Played WoW, played Diablo. Roundguard, I've talked about on the show before. I won't get into it too much, but that's that other Peggle-like, roguelike sort of RPG game. It's a little more cartoony, but very similar. I played a bunch of that in bed. That's a good game. It's fun. Played that a lot. And my wife's been gone, so that's who's keeping me company at night.
The Roundguard.
Yeah, the Roundguard have been here.
Scott goes to bed and he goes, Roundguard to me.
Right. That's right. There's a character. Oh, John would love the rogue in this. I unlocked the rogue, and the rogue Imagine
I have this game.
Yeah, you have this. I saw it on
I've
Steam.
played it, yeah.
Yeah, the little rogue guy is great because while he's falling at full speed, if you hold down one of his abilities, he slows time and pulls back a bow, and the camera zooms in on him, and now you can like snipe enemies or gold pots or health bars or whatever it is you're trying to shoot, and then it'll bullet time that and then go back to normal speed. There's some cool stuff in that game.
Speaking of sales, it's 75% off right now.
Oh, I didn't know that. That's a great deal.
It's huge. It's like $6 Canadian, so probably like under $5 for you guys.
Oh yeah, that's a no-brainer, that game. Peglin and that are both awesome for different reasons, though. They play differently. They're a different focus, but Roundguard's awesome.
Or something.
Yeah, Roundguard is a lot more. I don't know how to say. I don't know how to describe it.
It looks like Pachinko. Is that accurate?
Well, they're both like that, and Pengo are both like they're both Pachinko
Peggle,
adjacent. They're like Peggle. They just play like Peggle, and they're both. And Peggle is based on Pachinko, so it's the same idea. But the RPG elements, getting new weapons, working your way up a roguelike tree to a boss, that kind of stuff, it makes it kind of unique, and it's pretty neat. Oh man, this video just showed Zeus falling from the sky and landing in the city. Good lord, I haven't gotten that far. Anyway, that's it for me, John. How far did you get in Metaphor ReFantazio?
I think I'm about 2/3 of the way through that game, and I'm gonna mention it again. Guys, I know it's been 3 weeks of this.
Yeah.
This is one of the best video games that came out this year. I am shocked and appalled at the sheer lack of people on my Steam friends list that own this game and are interested in this game. I get that Dragon Age is coming out in a week. You've got time. Play this game. It is so good. It is so stinking good. Every time that I'm like, okay, I think I've got the cycle down of what we're going to be doing. I think I get where this game's going. It flips it on its head. And it sometimes in ways that I kind of expected, sometimes in ways that are completely unexpected. It keeps introducing new characters, kind of changing the dynamic of the characters that you know. And it has just been a breath of fresh air. Like the story, the setting, the worlds is just incredible. And the combat system, it feels good to play. I have power leveled myself in the game a little bit. I'm a little overpowered currently in the game, but that's fine. That's how I like to be. It's so good. So if you like role-playing games, if you like the Persona games, no-brainer, absolutely get this. I think this is better than any of the stuff they've done with Persona. And I like the Persona games, but I think this is
step ahead.
This is a better flavor from the same people, in my opinion. This is really, really good.
Is it because you're not sitting around school all the time talking nonsense? Is that why
I
it's
don't
better?
mind the school stuff. Like, and I say that, like, I came to you and was like, Scott, you'll really like this because the school stuff's not in there. I like that stuff.
Yeah.
But I think this has a more logical through line with it when it comes to what you do outside of the game. And it's in a more, like, logical thing. It's like, well, we have a mission to go, raid this temple, but that temple is 2 days journey away. We got to take the time to do it. So in that time, that's when you increase your stats. That's when you build your relationships. That's when you do, it's very D&D in that. It's like, okay, well, we have travel time. We're not going to just hand wave and go, oh, you're there. You're going to move. And okay, what are you going to do today? Well, I want to get my courage up. Okay, what are you going to do today? Well, I want to improve my relationship with one of the adventuring party so that can unlock more systems and the archetypes, and I can have more, passive abilities and stuff like that. Okay, now it's night. What do you want to do there? And like, it still has wacky, goofy, silly stuff. Like, you can use the bathroom on your ship that you're in. And every now and then, just using the bathroom, your luck stat will increase.
Why is that? That's a weird thing.
It just does. You were lucky. You used the bathroom and your luck got better.
So I was in there. I had to take a dump. It wasn't just a liquid hot freaking lava ball. I'm lucky. That's the idea?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. And it's great because if you're diligent about doing it, you don't ever have to dump points into luck, which feels like a bit of a dump stat because it's like, it's not the one you're going to want to put points in. It's the stat that you're like, I could do without. But the game has a way to up that stat without it. But it also, you unlock the bathtub and you can take a bath. And depending on what salts you put in the bath, you can bump your stats up that way too. So it's like,
That's weird.
I put in scalding hot fire salts in there.
Yeah.
My stamina goes up.
Wow.
I have better endurance because this bath was so hot. It's real good.
Yeah.
And yeah, the characters are good. The jobs are really interesting. They're called archetypes, but essentially they're very similar to Final Fantasy. Anybody who ever watched me do any of my Final Fantasy runs knows that I am a auto attack addict. I like to just melee everything, and that you cannot play Persona games like that. So that's maybe the only area I really struggle in this game, is that like Persona games, and this game included, are all about special abilities. Like if you're auto attacking, you probably are just in a situation you shouldn't have gotten yourself into, or you're just trying to save mana. Like this game is all about using spells, using archetype abilities, like wasting MP as much as possible, because MP essentially acts as your stamina for things you're doing. And if you find ways to break the MP system, like you essentially have now broken the game, which I have.
Yeah.
So that's where we're at with the game now. And I love this game. I can't say enough nice things about it. It's all I've been wanting to do. I'm trying to be very generous on my opinions on other video games right now, because anytime I play something else, I am 100% doing it so I have something else to talk about on Core, and not because I necessarily want to, because all I want to play is this game right now.
Here's what's funny. This game, some people have balked at the idea that this game is $70, but here's the great news. That's $20 less than a digital dinosaur that helps you go to the auction house.
Yeah, you got a whole ass game.
That's a whole game. Yeah.
That's a whole game.
Yeah.
I guess game.
We can thank Blizzard for helping us have that comparison.
Also, it's a long game. I mean, I don't think that like length of game should equate value of game, but for some people it does.
Yeah.
And let's see. It feels like I'm about 2/3 of the way through it, and I've put in 64 hours.
Jeez. Chat's saying 100 or so, I'm hearing. Like 100 hours is about right. So you've got a lot ahead of you still.
So, I think it's fine. I don't think that the price was a problem. I'm not upset about it at all. Especially when it's that good quality. And like I said, I know a lot of people. I've put a lot of people onto Final Fantasy 14, so I do think it's worth noting this, because it's something I've really been thinking about a lot lately. This game feels like what the new Final Fantasy 14 expansion should have been.
Oh,
like,
wild.
There are a lot of story similarities between Metaphor and Dawn Trail.
Mm-hmm.
And Metaphor, and I'm shocked to say this because I do firmly believe Final Fantasy 14 overall is probably the best JRPG story, maybe even RPG story I've played. But Metaphor, in terms of one-to-one with Dawn Trail, like Metaphor is what that game should have been, and it is so good.
Is it voiced,
so
or
compelling.
When they're sitting around the campfire like this, is it just are they voicing
I'd
it, or
say
just
it's about 75% fully voiced, and
good.
then for kind of unimportant cutscenes, you get the thing that Bo mentioned, where you get one or two words, like they'll be like, watch out, but then the dialogue will be like, hey, look out for that. Like there's some of that in there, but for the most part, it's voiced.
Okay. That's great. Well, you're tempting me continually. I like Persona 5 quite a bit. I didn't finish it, but I liked it.
Yeah. When Tim the Toolman Taylor joined the
actually
one of the fantasy crew.
One of the funny things, I don't know if you remember this about Yakuza 0, but there's like a Michael Jackson style character.
Oh yeah,
it's not Michael Jackson, and when his noise was hee hee hee,
yeah, I do remember that.
He wouldn't say the whole line. It's just whenever it's his turn to speak, he'd be like, hee hee.
Isn't there? There's a Gary's Mod game where you get chased by the face of Michael Jackson just going hee 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 hee, and it just gets closer and closer.
Oh, jeez.
I am
scary as
shocked
shit.
that hasn't popped up on YouTube videos in our household.
Yeah.
Like, that sounds exactly like the kind of crap we would see right now.
How many skibbity toilets per week do you see?
Oh my god. My stepson taught my youngest skibbity toilet, and I'm not necessarily the happiest about it because the baby will be like, skibbity bop bop, yes, yes, toilet. And I'm just like, you don't even know what that means. You're just repeating your brother.
Oh, I found it. It's a Gmod. Yeah, it is a Gmod. And let's see if I can play a little sound from it. Okay. He's not. Yeah, you gotta see it, dude.
Oh my god.
It's scary as hell, and
that's-
it's just his face chasing people. It's wild.
That is exactly the kind of thing I would expect to have around this household.
Now
at
you'll be
moment.
you'll be the cool dad, and you'll introduce them to their new meme.
No, I won't. We don't need more of that stuff around here. I promise you.
All right, awesome.
Like, the amount of bad YouTube I've been exposed to because my son, for whatever reason, does not want to watch anything with a plot is shocking. And some of the stuff he wants to watch, he's just like, it's just like, what is this? Why is this on YouTube? Like, what are we doing? Like, making miniature cakes, but it's like ASMR at the same time. So every time they stir something, it's like real wet and like,
Ew, gross.
it's the worst. It's the worst.
Yeah, it's
the worst.
Brain rot stuff. As somebody who's an old person, what I'm trying not to do is go, well, this is just trash compared to the stuff we had. And then I remember, I mean, not really. Like, all your base and all that shit is all everything's dumb on the internet.
Yeah,
it's all
it is.
dumb. Everything's dumb.
That's why I'm ultimately okay with it, because like there'll be people that'll be like, well, how can you possibly show your kid that? It's like, do you know what I watched when I was a kid?
Yeah.
Are you really gonna tell me that I was taking something beautiful out of the Care Bears? I wasn't walking away going, I want to be a Care Bear too. I was walking away being like, these effing bears, man.
Yeah.
Like, they were a problem.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. Even me,
it
I'm
all
reading.
was.
I'm reading Mad Magazine as a kid. Do you think that was high-minded freaking art or whatever? No.
Yeah,
I mean, I loved
none of
it,
it
but
was.
it's whatever. It's every era's like this.
And you gotta just let your kid find what they're gonna be into.
Yeah, and if it's skibbity toilet, who are we to say no?
Doesn't mean I don't try and encourage, like, hey, buddy, what if we watch something with a plot? You want
Nothing
to
wrong
watch
with
Wreck-It
that.
Ralph again? I'd love to watch Wreck-It Ralph again. More than car crashes, jeez.
I mean, I watch a lot of fail videos, so I'm part of the problem. All right, John, tell us about No Man's Sky and your current. You started a new horror expedition.
Yeah, there's
Yeah.
a free update again.
They did another update. I don't mean to shock you, but No Man's Sky did a update for Halloween called The Cursed, which is a expedition. I don't know. It probably adds stuff to the base game as well. But currently there is an expedition that will lead you through. The big thing is that there's I think a really cool looking ship. It looks Millennium Falcon adjacent. It looks like if the Millennium Falcon hooked up with a flying saucer ship in the game. I think it looks really cool. You get it if you complete the expedition. But it's very much this horror themed expedition. So, like, instead of the idea is that you have you're from a different realm and you're not totally in sync and you're falling out of alignment, and these like jellyfish creatures are phasing into the world to pull you back through. So the more out of sync you get, the more they show up and attack you. And it's supposed to be very creepy and eerie, and you get a lot of messages of like, you know, we see you, we're coming for you, like as you're playing and stuff like that. And yeah, it's like any of the expeditions if you've ever done them. It gives you a bunch of objectives to do that I know are eventually going to show off some of the new features in the game, because I do see some of the objectives do involve fishing. So they're definitely leaning into the hey, we just added fishing. Why don't you try fishing out? Which in some ways is good, because No Man's Sky, it's not like they tutorialize everything they add to the game. So this is actually not a bad way for them to say, hey, here's something new for you to go in and try.
But Bo's out now, right? You heard fishing, and you're not doing this expedition, are you, Bo? You're out.
Oh, well, that's the last one, but yeah, no.
You're not doing the fishing.
Oh, wait, no, this one has fishing?
Yeah, this one has
No,
fishing. There's a fishing aspect to it.
yeah.
So you forget it, is what you're saying.
I mean, I might do it to get a Millennium Falcon, because that ship looks sweet.
Well, that's a
But
good
you
point.
are fishing up like tentacles from the sea, like dead
Nah, it's all fishing.
being
Doesn't matter what's on the hook. Fishing bad.
What if what if $90 would get you an actual Millennium Falcon in there?
A real Millennium
Yeah.
That's a
Falcon.
good deal. I could flip that.
I can turn that $90 into a lot more very easily.
Yeah, I guess real is not the right word, but yeah.
I don't have the new ship yet, but in all the videos and stuff, I think the ship looks awesome. Like, I think it's one of the coolest ships they've put in the game. I've said that about a few of them, and like I said that about the organic ship, and then I got that, and I was like, this is kind of gross. I don't like this very much. So
They do make things look sweet in their trailers, you know.
so I might change my tune, but I think the ship looks cool. There's a lot of new, like, weird enemies and stuff. Like, I've seen a lot of stuff that I haven't seen. I don't know if it got added with this update. Like, there was a giant walking bug that looked like a big tank of a bug. And I was like, that thing looks massive and gnarly. And I was in my ship, and then it started shooting at me from the ground with, like, acid.
Yeah.
And I was like, whoa, this thing is cool. Like,
Yeah.
there's a bunch of stuff in there, and they've done so many updates. I don't know how much is for this versus before, but No Man's Sky continues to look and be great. And if you want something that's a little horror themed, yeah, this expedition's for you.
Mm-hmm. And it's out, unlike a certain Star Citizen game. Excellent. I don't know why I
I
throwing
didn't
shade.
say it.
I don't know why I
get
even
mad
did
at
that.
me this time.
I'm just asking for trouble. I don't know why I did it.
Scott's like, John, drum up a little more controversy.
Well, if you're telling me Sonic X Shadow Generations is good, maybe that's controversial. Because it doesn't sound good, John. But you guess somehow it's good or it's awesome. Explain yourself. How can that be good?
Somehow.
Yeah, a kind of new Sonic the Hedgehog video game came out. I say kind of new because it's only like 50% new. There's a game that came out called Sonic X Shadow Generations. And this game is basically... A while back, there was a game called Sonic Generations. It was like modern Sonic meeting old, chubby, original Sonic.
Yeah.
It was very well received at the time. It was considered one of the better Sonic the Hedgehog video games. They have remastered that. That is a part of what this is. But they have also done a second story mode focused on Shadow the Hedgehog, which is its own separate game attached to it as well. And that's kind of the big selling point. I will say I had one major disappointment with this, and it's my own fault. It's not necessarily their fault, but I remember being told somewhere as I thought about this game that Keanu Reeves was voicing Shadow the Hedgehog.
Yeah, not just in the show or not just the movie coming up, but the game as well.
Yes, but in the game as well.
I also remember this. You're not
So
alone.
I started playing the game, and I started playing as Shadow, and he started talking, and he wasn't Keanu Reeves, and I was very disappointed. I guess they are doing some DLC, which is tied to the movie. They're doing a movie pack, and Keanu Reeves is doing his voice for that. I don't know if that's going to be a mode. I don't know if he's redoing all of the lines of the game himself. I don't know what the scope of that is. But I did have a moment where I was like, damn it. Not that I have a problem. The person who's doing Shadow's voice is fine. But when you are expecting Keanu Reeves and you don't get Keanu Reeves, it's a disappointment for me. I'm sure that, like, I'm not in the Sonic universe, so there's maybe some people that are big Sonic fans that are like, no, I would have hated if it wasn't so-and-so who's been doing the voice for however many years. I don't know. I just thought it was going to be Keanu Reeves.
So let me ask you this. If it was just repurposed Johnny Silverhand voiceover stuff, would that be enough for you to...
That would be fine.
Okay. Someone will mod that in then. You watch.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. I don't care.
Yeah.
But okay, so the big question is like, is this game good though? Because that's been the thing. This game has been getting buzz because it's getting extremely good reviews, especially for a Sonic the Hedgehog game. A lot of people are talking about it, and word on the street was that this was good. I haven't played a Sonic game in a long ass time. In fact, I knew nothing about Shadow the Hedgehog because Shadow the Hedgehog didn't exist the last time I played a Sonic the Hedgehog game.
Yeah.
Well, except for the murder of Sonic the Hedgehog, but I don't think that counts.
No.
So I had a lot of fun with this. It was big and flashy and fast and over the top, and I really thought it was cool. And it's not even like going back to the classic side scroller Sonic with the shadow stuff. It's like the full 3D business, but the levels all moved at a really good pace. I thought it controlled really well. I'm not used to it, so I messed up a bunch. I can't tell you the amount of times I slowed down time when I meant to boost, but like I thought overall the game played really well. And again, everything was really big and flashy in a very satisfying way. And I have to say, I think this is a pretty good Sonic the Hedgehog game.
Do you see Sonic?
Shadow the Hedgehog game.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you. Do you see Sonic in this at all, or is it just strictly Shadow's game?
No, like there's even a point where Shadow's talking to the Sonic crew, and Sonic is weirdly not present. He's not at the table. But I've only played a couple levels of it. But so far, it's been a lot of fun and very different. And I haven't played the Sonic Generations game, but again, I've heard that that's very good. I will just say to anybody out there who maybe has played a lot of these games, that part of it is just a remaster. So if you've played that game before, it's just that game with better graphics.
Okay.
But the Shadow stuff is all new.
Right. That's cool, though. I didn't know that. This thing's at an average of 97% on Steam. That's how highly regarded it is. You're making me
well, it's
play
also not a full price game, so I think people are going in with different expectations. You're not buying Baldur's Gate 3. You're buying Shadow the Hedgehog and everything that comes with it. Like there is because again, I had no idea who Shadow the Hedgehog was. So there's a button where it's like the story so far, and I was like, sure, teach me about Shadow the Hedgehog. And I don't want to it's great that people like this, but I didn't know if I was supposed to laugh at it, but I did laugh because it was very silly because it's like Dr. Robotnik's grandpa, I think.
Yep.
And a little girl made Shadow the Hedgehog in a lab. And then they died. They were like shot down by the government, and Shadows. Yeah. And they're like people.
Yeah.
They're not like animals. They're people.
Yep.
And they got shot down by the government, who are also people. And then Shadow saw it and was like, I'm going to destroy the world. But then he remembered her words were like, help the world or something. So then he was nice.
Yeah. It's basically what they're doing with the movie. The movie has the same plot. You see the trailer with what's his name? Jim Carrey plays both Robotnik and Robotnik's grandpa, and they meet each other in the trailer. So I think they're going for that same storyline. It's freaking Sonic. The universe is stupid. But
it's goofy, but it's played earnestly, and you know what? I got nothing but respect for that. So I did chuckle. Yeah, Chad's saying he's also part alien. Yeah, it does touch on but maybe he wasn't just created in the lab. Maybe he's also from space. So it does touch on that too. He's being hounded by a starfish in the levels that I've played. That it's
makes
goofy
perfect
fun.
sense. Perfect sense to be, starfish, hedgehogs. I don't like it.
I don't think you're supposed to sit there and really think about it. I think you're supposed to go, I'm going fast and the things I'm doing are cool and fun, and that's all it's supposed to be.
Well, it sounds like it's doing a good job of that, so you've piqued my interest.
Yeah. Finally, the next set of UFO 50 games I played 4 more of them. I'll go through them real quick because this is taking forever. Campanella is a arcade game where you control a flying saucer trying to get through a stage, pick up coffee as power-ups. It's a little difficult to control because it's all like momentum based. So it's one of those things where the flying saucer has weight and it starts to fall down and you have to use thrust to lift up, but it builds momentum. It's not immediately, it doesn't stop automatically. You have to like really fire the thrust to prevent from crashing, and then it'll shoot up quick, and then you got to kind of feather it to move. So it's kind of got that control scheme, and you kind of have to navigate through a maze to do stuff. It's pretty cool.
Kind of lunar lander style. I'm a huge fan of this physics concept. I've always liked games like this, so I think this would be one I would play.
This will be the week for you, Scott. Buckle up.
Oh boy,
it's gonna come up again.
All right.
Next was Golfaria, which is an adventure game where you play as a golf ball. And in order to go everywhere, you hit like a golf game, like you aim in a direction and then there's a power meter and you go, but you're like talking to villagers and exploring a town and stuff.
All right.
It seemed cool, but I wasn't going to spend the time with it to really dive deep into it. And I'll tell you what really killed my interest in it is apparently there is a limited number of strokes that you can do before the game just like puts you back at a checkpoint.
Ooh.
And I was like, oh man, because I'm not good enough at it. So I was going through strokes like crazy. But
yeah,
it's an adventure game where you're a golf ball talking to people. It seems good.
All right.
The Big Bell Race is a racing game where you are the flying saucer from Campanella.
Oh wow.
It is
right.
The same mechanics from that game, the exact same, but now in a side-scrolling Mario Kart-esque racing game.
What?
So
that sounds amazing.
And you can get power-ups and damage the other racers and stuff like that. So that's in there. And then there's Warp Tank, which looks like Blaster Master, or at least the side-scrolling bits of Blaster Master. But you're locked in you can only shoot up or down depending on your perspective. And so it's a side-scrolling game, and basically all you can really do is move left or right, you can shoot, and you can warp. And what warp does is it teleports the tank vertically to stick to the ceiling of whatever's above it. And so you use that to kind of solve puzzles. So, for example, there might be a platform that's moving and there might be a gap on the top, but no gap on the bottom. So if you're on the bottom of the platform, you'll die. But if you warp to the top of the map, wait for the platform to come out, and then warp down onto the platform, it'll carry you across. So The warp is used as a mechanic to kind of navigate you around, and you dodge projectiles, you shoot stuff, and you navigate the game.
That game makes me think of VVVVVVV.
Yes, that's what it reminds me of, because VVV had that up and down.
That was the main mechanic, was just gravity swap with your dude.
Yeah.
But it looks like that, but like also
Master Blaster.
The frame rate seems really low on this one.
Yeah, like it seems like it's
in a good way. Like it's the vibe, I understand, but yeah, the frame rate's like so low.
Yeah, it's weird. It's kind of hard to explain why that looks weird.
The other ones don't even. I think this is intentional with this game. It feels like.
Yeah, something about maybe each space is a set space. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like there's no feathering there. Anyway, this looks pretty neat. I kind of like the two kinds of games this is aping from, so I would probably enjoy this one. Well, there you go. 4 more, man. Woo! Look at you ripping through these. Warp Tank is our final one. Next week, we'll continue on. I think after that, you got Waldorf's Journey, so stay tuned.
Oh, boy. We're starting big with old Waldorf next week.
Waldorf's Journey.
Why isn't anyone named Waldorf anymore?
I know, right? It's great. Bo, let's find out how Arkham Shadow is, the VR game.
All right. Yes. Oh, man. I've been looking forward to this all week. Game of the Year contender right here.
Whoa. All right.
I was a little bit skeptical on this one. There's a glut of VR games coming out. We got, Metro Awakening imminently. Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024 with full VR support, which I'm excited for. Behemoth and Alien Rogue Incursion. So Batman looked like, franchise tie-in, whatever. These are the guys that did it's Camouflage. The guys that did Iron Man VR, which was awesome, but the graphics didn't look great because it was a PSVR 1 port to Quest when I tried it. But it's still pretty mechanically interesting. So expectations were kind of low, but I was still low-key hyped for it. And I bought it. It actually launched early, and I gotta say, Game of the Year. When I put on my headset and get in to play the Batman, I feel like I'm Batman. I haven't experienced so much joy from the time I put the headset on to the time I take it off playing this game all year. Nothing even comes close.
That makes me so happy to hear that.
This is the best thing I've played all year with a bullet. Like, no question. What is this game? It is like an Arkham style game. The first mission's linear. Then you get the Blackrock prison. And it's Metroidvania light, let's say, but you get upgrades and items, and then you can access different parts of the prison. But that wasn't the real thing that got me excited. The real thing, there's two things that got me excited. One, it actually, for a quest only game, it looks sick. They nailed the shadows. So the way that when you float down, you know how you have your cape? You literally have to hold your hands on the side and hold your hands out to cape down. And it works great. And you see your shadow on the ground. And then the guy you're landing on like looks and goes, huh? He sees the Batman shadow. And then you go, pow! Because the main mechanic of this game is punching people with your fists. Let me tell you, air punching for 2 hours will definitely give you... I'm definitely stiffening my back from playing this game, like doing so much air punching.
Probably a decent workout, though. You know?
Yeah, you can do everything in this game pretty much. Well, okay, maybe that's a bit of a stretch, but it translates the Arkham game style into VR. And it succeeds. You're watching gameplay footage now. Basically, the way the developers position this is, think of Beat Saber, like a rhythm game, except it's punching the bad guys. So it's all like, it feels like every note I've said about like, oh, VR needs to work this way, VR needs to work that way, they've like implemented. Like, I couldn't be happier with all the design choices that have come here. So for example, let's say there's a guy who's about to hit you, who's coming towards you, but he's like, far away. You'd have to run up to him. Well, you don't got to run up to him. You just hold your fist out and Diablo 4 monk style, you just teleport to him. You glide across because you're Batman. So you don't got to reposition. Now you're in front of him and you've hit him. A couple things can happen. You can, it'll tell you to punch left or punch right or uppercut, and you got to perform the right punch to like do it right. If you do it wrong, you lose your combo status and you sort of falter. So you got to punch the way the game's telling you. But you have other options. You have Batarang, which you can throw at people and stun them. You can lift up and do a cape stun with just one side of your cape to stun them. Some enemies require that, so it's got a bit of the combat chess. You don't just do what it tells you to do. You have some flexibility. See, like even here with the video, I'm gliding down. Boom. You can do stealth takedowns where you don't close your hands in a fist and just grab the guy and then choke him out, and you have to choke him out by moving your hands this way. And notably, it has the counter mechanic of the Arkham games. So if you're doing something
cool
and someone's about to punch you, you hold the hand out it tells you, and then it auto turns you and teleports you to the guy, and you punch counter, just like the Arkham games.
That's great.
It's not nothing realistic about this game. It is arcade action. But once there's like 6 dudes around you, and you're like, you got your fists up and you start punching and someone's gonna punch you and you're like, oh, you just get you're so into it. You're like, I'm the Batman. You're scum. And the way they got the voice actor, not Kevin Conroy, but the guy who sounds a lot like him, who's done the later games.
Yeah.
He's doing it. And there's one point in the game where Batman's like losing control, and Alfred's like, "Are you sure, okay?" And he's like, "I got this," and you're like, in your mind, you're like filled with rage too, just like the character. Like I've just never been so 1-to-1 with a character as this game. Oh, also you can use both hands and knee people in the face. One of the most satisfying moves is grabbing someone's leg and having the input to punch the leg, and you go, oh, and you just crack their leg in two. And then it's pure like hyper violent Batman, but you're not killing anybody, so it's cool.
Yeah.
And you know, like it's one of those weird things. It's just so violent and aggressive, but like they all live. And then they have these quick time cutscenes, like where someone's talking to you, and you have it's a bad guy, and you're like, tell me where Falcone is. And they're like, Batman, you're too late. And then you grab them, and it says a punch input, and you punch him in the face, and they go, I ain't saying shit, Batman. And it says punch input, you punch him again in the face. You're like, all right, I'll talk. And then after they talk, you punch him again, and you're just like, oh. You know, it's like so aggro. It's a game. This is the best thing. I want to play it right now. Just my back hurts. And I'm doing a show, obviously, but this is the best thing I've played all year. Everyone buy it, play it, love it. You're missing out if you're not playing it. Sorry to do the FOMO thing.
So wait,
it is
best
fucking amazing.
Best game, best VR game you've played, or does Half-Life Alyx?
I put it 9 out of 10. It doesn't dethrone Alyx from 10 simply because Alyx just Valve are showboats when it comes to this stuff, and that Arkham, this game does the lane that it does perfectly, but it doesn't have weird things like, do you want to draw on some windows? And every level's kind of different. Like in Alyx, like one's a horror mission. By the way, that mission that should be on the list of scariest games of all time. Like Alyx is like insanely scary game. Crofton didn't even finish it. He was like, I can't play it. It's just too scary.
That's right. I saw a video of you. You kind of screamed in that part, and you never do that.
Yeah, there's a part even where there's an MC Escher level where just geometry's breaking, and then at some certain point you get force lighting. It's still this doesn't dethrone Alyx's greatest VR game of all time. I don't think anything will, but this is as close as you're gonna get. This is like my second favorite VR game. It's basically in second place, right behind it. Simply because form meets function perfectly. You're Batman, you do all the Batman things. It doesn't waste your time trying to be realistic, but everything feels true to what you'd be doing as Batman, which is just punching people, being angry, but also going to the Batcave. And you can even get little micro SD chips, and you put them in your arm and are like, okay, I'll listen to that later. You have a detective vision, just like in the Arkham games. You tap the side of your head, and you go detective mode, and you can see all the wires and shit. There's puzzles to get all the pickups, like the pickup systems in there. You got to do weird shit to get the pickups and find them all in this prison. And there's Predator mode too, where you can hang off the gargoyles and like zip down, lift them up, and hang them off the gargoyles. You can throw smoke bombs, and then you can glide down and kick them, and then zip back up. And while they're like, "Where's the Batman?" They're shooting. They're trying to get you with their guns, and you make your next like attempt to pick off the next enemy. It is the complete package. They have absolutely nailed it. VR is back. This is the best game I've played all year. Like, it is so. If this is the first game on this glut of games, 2024 Christmas release window, we're eating very good in VR world right now. Better if you're 18 with energy burn, sure, but also can play sitting down. Don't have to play standing up. You can. It's still going to be rough on the punches, but you don't actually have to punch very far. It registers your movements pretty generously. Like at a certain point, one of the punch moves is just like it'll count down from like 10. He's like 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, kaboom!
Yeah,
and it gets tiring, but you don't have to extend your whole arm out or hit. You can just kind of
kind of do this. Yeah,
you can kind of do that and still get a satisfying result from it. So put it on easy mode and just enjoy your time. This is the game of the year so far. Like my pick, my favorite thing ever, best Batman game I've ever played. Except for comparing it to flat screen, I think you're going to find there's probably more content in your flat screen games. Like, I don't think the scope of this game is going to be, if you compare them, like when you watch video, it looks like you move slow in VR, but in the game, it's fast. It feels like fast and frantic. It just doesn't translate super well. In
Well,
that
it's
regard.
it's to your point. Others say this too, but there's a language to VR games that is different than flat screen games. That is, different than when we would only have tabletop pen and paper and no such thing as video games. Like the language of the medium matters, and it sounds like these guys are speaking the language, like they've figured it out. That's pretty
And
great.
it is like a AAA development in terms of the stories there too. Like at one point, I'm chilling with Commissioner Gordon. He's like, "I got to go outside for a smoke," and you go have a smoke, and you're like, "All right, what's up?" And then a sniper shoots at you, and you're like, "Oh shit!" They're like, "Come on!" And then he like gets down, and Gordon's okay, but you're like, "I got to get that sniper," and then you zip off, and you're chasing someone through the buildings to find the sniper.
That's great.
It's just very immersive, and I love everything about it. I love gliding. I got the bat detonator. I can detonate walls now.
Ooh.
It really is the greatest thing that's happened to me video game wise this year.
So it's got detective
I
mode.
recommend it.
Detective mode style vision. I mean, I can see some of that.
It has two kinds. It has the detective mode where you got to look for clues, and you're like, "This has formaldehyde in it. That must mean I gotta tune my senses to smell formaldehyde or whatever." And like there's one puzzle where you're looking at a keypad and you turn detective vision on and you see fingerprints on the keypad, and that's how you figure out how to open the keypad. Like it's not just the fighting, it's like the Arkham experience of doing detective mode.
That's great.
It's the full package. And a little thing, I haven't gotten to him yet, but Scarecrow is in the game. The main antagonist seems to be the Rat King, which I think is a brand new creation for the game. But the Scarecrow is in it, and it's played by Elijah Wood, which I'm excited to see what that interpretation's like.
Yeah, so they got some mocap.
They got some stuff. Talented people to do the performances.
Yeah, I think Rat King's been around for a while. He was in.
Yeah,
is he?
Yeah, he's been in it.
I don't know my lore. I thought it was a new invention.
I think like the 80s or so. He's old. He's an older one. Like Rat Catcher is.
Yeah, I was gonna say, is it Rat King or Rat Catcher?
It might be Rat Catcher because I've learned some history where it used to be a Rat Catcher, but they call him the Rat King.
Yeah, and his daughter is Rat Catcher 2 or whatever in the Suicide Squad. That's his daughter.
Yeah.
Okay.
And she's great. I freaking love her.
Don't quote me on my Batman lore. I'm not that great.
No, it's cool though because
it's
still a deep cut. I'm surprised they did it because this is not like them going Joker again or something obvious. So that's great.
Yeah. So but what was it? Falcone is in this, but like he's like an early boss. Like he's basically the first major character I've fought, and it's fun. He's one too where you're just like trying to get information out of him. He's like, "Screw you, Batman!" You just punch him in the face, and he's like, "Try again." and you're doing the actual cutscene of like intimidating the villains. It won't play in your Quest 2. I think it's a 3S3 exclusive.
Ooh, that's
I really want you both to check it out though, if I could. Like it's really good.
John, you want to swing your arms all out and punch things and stuff in the air? You into that?
Yeah, that's fine.
I think honestly, John, even if you're just like still not into VR, still hate it, I think this would be like an accept as a comic book lover, and I know you like the Arkham games. I love the
Arkham games.
I feel like this would win you over. You may still not want to punch a lot. It is tiring. And you may want to keep it away from the kids because if they want to play it, they're going to destroy the house because you really get into it. Like it's hard to explain, but I've played games with guns and stuff before, and it's like, yeah, I'm into it. But for some reason, it is so it does the sound effects of like it really emphasizes the hit. So I feel like the greatest fighter that's ever lived. When I look like an idiot, really, when I'm doing it. But the fantasy, I'm closed off from whatever I look like in the headset, and it just feels like
I love it.
So good.
Anyways, I love that you're having a good time with it. That's awesome. What else you get up to?
I did the D4 campaign, completed it.
Oh, the whole Vessel of Hatred and all of it, because you started at the very beginning and you got all the way through.
Last week I was just at the beginning, so I finished it. I don't know if you've finished it or not.
I haven't yet. I've been slow. A lot of side stuff.
I don't want to take the wind out of your sails, but
what, you didn't like the end?
I don't know. Do you want to wait till you get through it and we can talk about it later? Or,
I'm
skewing heavily negative on this.
Oh,
even worse. John described it at one point, I think, as like, oh, it's like edging, and I'm like, that's a nice way of putting it. Like, basically, just TLDR maybe is I'm done with D4. I'm moving on to other games.
You're done.
The story was so disappointing to me. Why am I even playing Endgame? Like, F this game, I'm out.
Oh man,
Trash. And I loved the D4 campaign. I played the campaign beforehand
yeah.
and thought it was excellent. And the campaign for the Vessel of Hatred, like, what a joke.
Really?
Sorry.
That bad?
Trash. Yeah, terrible.
Well, what I said based on my impression. So the chat room, I don't know who it was, but chat room is the ones who said it's the definition of edging, which I thought was funny.
Yeah.
My interpretation of it, and Bo, now that you've played it, you can confirm it, because I told you guys before I bought the game, I was thinking about buying it. I went and looked and was like, what's the ending to the game? And so my kind of before the game came out, I said, oh, it sounds like it's maybe Act 2 of Diablo 4. After I read what the ending was, I was like, ugh, it sounds like maybe half of Act 2. Like,
nothing happens. Nothing. Very little happens. Nothing. You saw the trailer and was like, Mephisto's coming. Mephisto's coming. No Mephisto.
Well, I mean, he's walking around in dog form talking to you. He's there.
Yeah. You fight a big dog guy, and Narelle calls it, well, you killed a sliver of an infinity. So you didn't really accomplish much, and then you go back to the cottage, have some memba berries, and you're done.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
So I'm like, so the game's resolved. I don't need to do endgame. Lilith and Arius did their thing. They died. You went to hell, fought them off, and we just helped her deal with the World Stone, which turns out, there's some bullshit with some other stuff. You might find it interesting. I did not, and I was very disappointed to have. You were kind of thinking like, oh, it's Mephisto, then Baal, then Diablo. Well, there's no Mephisto in this game. Sorry, there's more dog. I've got everything planned or whatever. Like, okay, it was very. I just wasn't excited. I was like, this is like boring. Meanwhile, I really liked the campaign. I just played it. It was as awesome as when I first played it.
Yeah. You mean
there's
the
no
first
cutscene?
You mean
there's no
the
good
first
cutscene? There's like a 10-second cutscene that's a teaser. But the game, here's what I think. I think they don't know if another expansion is coming because of what happened.
Don't
with
tell
Reaper
me
Souls.
that.
And this game is like an epilogue. So if it ends here, at least it's wrapped up better than Diablo 3. But it doesn't. It's like it could go either way. It's like, yes, the primevals are coming, but also that was a great adventure. And who knows? So I don't know. Maybe we'll find out with the BlizzCon announcements or Blizzard Direct, whenever that's happening. I don't want to be too negative, and I will say the end game is aces. If you're playing end game, like I did some of the activities, I think they're great. But it took the wind out of my sails so much about how like unepic the story was that I was like, oh, I think maybe either they were forced to push this thing out the door too quick, and just lacked. It wasn't released when it's done. There wasn't anything epic to it, or because even like Reaper of Souls has that moment where you go to Pandemonium and Imperius like burns into Pandemonium. He's like, "Get the hell out of my way!" And you're just like, "I love you, Imperius. I want to have your babies." But like, there's just no angels. Do you like angels? You want to know what happens with Tyrael? Sorry, Tyrael's still missing. Like, just nothing. Nothing interesting. 0 out of 10 campaign.
I want Decker Kane to come out and rap or something at this point.
Do you like Lorath?
It's okay.
No,
Lorath.
He's okay.
No Lorath.
He's not in it.
He's not in it.
He's in the start of the thing. He narrates some stuff, but that's it. There's no.
That's it. He's no Lorath, no Tyrael, no follow up in anything.
Let me
Narel's
just tell
character,
you all
but...
the 4 words my wife hates the most. I told you so. I told you all this is what was gonna happen.
I would like
exactly what happened.
It's only fair that Scott plays it at some point and gives his opinion.
Oh, I'll finish the story.
I might be up a tree. Scott may watch it, see it, and he goes like, actually, I kind of liked it. And a lot of people in chat, because I kind of bitched about it on my stream for like an hour and a half, and everyone was like, dude, it wasn't that bad. It was just okay. And I was like, no, I'm super disappointed. Mephisto is advertised on the tin. I want Mephisto. I got Malthael when I played Reaper of Souls. I don't feel like I got Mephisto in this expansion. Sorry. When you say like it's half of Act 2, it's because I expected at some point for the problem to occur and the hordes of hell to invade
Wow.
or something, and it just never happened. And I kept getting edged until the game was over, and I was told to go finish myself off in the other room by myself. You know what I mean? So that's kind of how that went. Anyways,
Yeah, I mean, like, I feel like this expansion was, and it's been said here now, so I'm gonna assume that the cloud of spoiler protection is now gone, so I can speak freely. I assumed that, like, with what I read on the story, going into this, I was like, okay, so we're gonna deal with Mephisto this expansion. This will be the Mephisto expansion. And then to see that, like, no, that's not the case, I was like, well, either one of two things are happening. Either this is just the first half of the story and they are continuing to, like, just extend it out, which is annoying. I don't like that. I didn't like that they did it in base Diablo 4. Like, that's where I differ from Bo, is I think the Diablo 4 main story is okay at best. I think it's way too long because it feels like the first act of a Diablo game extended out to try and pass off as a full game. That's what it feels like to me. And this, from what I read on it, it's like, this feels like half of an act now on top of it. And, maybe Mephisto is going to be the big bad of all of what Diablo 4 is when it's all said and done in however many years. When they tie a bow on this, maybe it's like, oh, well, it was a great big story of Mephisto, but I'm not interested in having the journey as it happens. I want to sit down and play Diablo. Like, to me, that's what Diablo is. I sit down and I play the game, and I beat the game, and maybe there's some DLC that tells an additional story or a continuing story. Maybe there are some threads that get picked up. This, like, you're going to be playing Diablo 4 for the next 17 years as we tell us. I'm not interested. I don't want that. I never did.
Well, now I'm going to finish it, but I'm none of that's encouraging.
I might be being a bit hyperbolic, but I was really disappointed. I wanted to see something cool happen, and I just felt like nothing cool ever actually happened.
All right.
I'm disappointed. But you know what? If another X-Pack comes around, I'll probably buy it and play it, because I still think the game's fun, and whatever. But
sure. But for now, you're out.
And it's just a campaign, yeah. And there's so many games and so much choice, and I'm like, do I really want to spend like 200 hours grinding endgame? Because I could see myself doing that. I've done it before. I'm like, no, I'm gonna play some other stuff.
It's a bummer that, well, yeah, it's all.
It just it took the wind out of my sails. That's the best way I can describe it. I just had zero desire now to help fight back the hordes of hell when the game's over.
Right. Yeah,
like I felt like the story's over, and now it's just like for fun stuff. And I guess in Reaper's Souls, because I was always waiting for that X-Pack, it felt like, yeah, we're getting more content, so I'm going to keep playing. I hope if there's more content, I may feel better in a few months and get over it, because a lot of people just don't even give a shit about the campaign and still find the game fun.
Yeah.
So,
Well, yeah, and I mean, the game is there for them. Like, that's who the game is made for. I didn't know what an ARPG was when I became a Diablo fan, so to me, the story is an important part to me.
Yeah, I think so. And if I did go out to look for some confirmation bias. Carnage was of the same mind, so I'm not out on a ledge. He really didn't like compared to the base game. He said the base game was amazing, expansion bad, and I'm like, okay, so I'm not the only one feeling this way. Yeah, but I think a lot of people actually do enjoy playing it. So I was like, am I just being too negative? So I got some confirmation bias there. Anyways, play it for yourself and see if you like it.
There you go.
That's all I got to say with that. Sorry to ruin the game potentially for you, Scott.
No, you haven't ruined anything. I mean, I'll finish it, and I may come away different because
you may like it.
But I also I 100% support this stance of, we got burned last time with no third piece of content. And they need to earn that back if they want me to invest in a story that they leave hanging like that. You know what I mean? Like, you can't do that again.
Like, compared to War Within, which is kind of the same, but I'm excited to see what happens because the war's starting.
Yeah.
Like, we're the spider thing's happening, we're dealing with that, but I know there's going to be further story updates.
Guaranteed.
So I'm like,
yeah.
But this, I'm like, the ending was so confusing. I'm like, is it continuing or are we done?
Yeah, it's a great
There's a whole event where you just fight all the people that you played with in the first game, as if it was 10 years ago. Like it's full member berries, and I'm like, it was just like 8 months ago I played this. What the hell?
Yeah, that's a little weird.
Yeah,
I have tuned into the instance this weekend, by the way, because I have some things to say about this event, the 20-year event. I'm not going to get into today because it's way too long. But
yeah, we're at time anyways, guys. We're giving you 4 hours. We got to save something for instance.
Yeah, and plus it ain't good. What I'm going to say.
Well,
just the event. I love the game right now. I'm having a great time.
When are you recording? Can I join you?
It's on Saturday sometime. Maybe we'll get.
I'm probably not burning the same way you are. Most of my hatreds for Vessel of Hatred.
That's why they call it that. That's why it's called.
Mephisto's got me. That's what's happened.
Yeah. Oh, you've been infiltrated.
Turned me.
Yeah, you're half skeletal dog now. You look like it on camera even.
I take it back. The writing's brilliant. I got so into it. I didn't realize Mephisto was in me all along.
Mm-hmm. You never knew. Well, don't worry about that. Let's go right to your Ravenswatch 1.0. You got it. I haven't gotten in there since they went 1.0. I'm so excited.
I'll be quick with all the rest of this stuff because Ravenswatch is still the same game it was I talked about a while ago. They just added the last boss and a bunch of tons of other talents and stuff. They have matchmaking now. I played with 2 other dudes. I think one of them rage quit at a certain point, but he sucked, so it was fine. And me and the other guy finished the whole round, including the last boss.
Nice.
Game is phenomenal. If you like Heroes of the Storm MOBA controls in a PvE rogue, I don't want to say rogue light, but the maps are random and the events are random. It's just as fun. The way to think of it is remember those extra games you would play in Heroes of the Storm that were like PvE events? Yeah. It's like a really elaborate version of that. Mm-hmm. And the Fairy Tale heroes are awesome. They play cool. Like it's stylish as oh hell. This is a 10 on 10 game in my books. It is amazing.
Yeah.
It's not everything in the world, but it's the kind of thing that you could fire up with a bunch of friends or on your own on like a day. This isn't a game where you're like, oh, this is my lifestyle game. I'm playing this every day.
Yeah.
However, it is a good time.
Yeah.
And I really appreciate and like this game.
I like it a lot too. It's very, very good. What else?
Oh yeah, I wrote a giant review. I see you're showing. I'm like, yeah.
Oh, is it on there? I skipped right past. Oh, there you are. Yeah, top one.
It's just a wall of text that I don't usually write wall of text reviews, and this one gave me a wall of text inspiration. Nice. It's one of the few large ones I've done.
Yeah.
The other one being Space Marine 2.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Oh yeah. Never forget.
So in short, I tanked. So Scott and Bobby, the instance hosts, were absent from raid last week, so me and Andy filled in, and I had a good time. It went well.
Well done, by the way. You tanked. From all I've heard, you were a fine tank. You were good.
We did fine. Yeah. I was a little nervous at first, but we did normal, and I got to warm up, and
it's not
it
so
turns
bad.
out it's not as hard as classic. You just press taunt, and you got the taunt.
It really is just watch your stacks and taunt on the right time. That's really tanking.
We still definitely derped on stuff. The good news is we solved Armpit Laser Boy.
Oh yeah.
And so we'll have tips for you on Friday.
We beat him too. Well, I guess that was the last thing we did.
On heroic. Oh, no, we did beat him.
Yeah,
we did beat him.
We did beat him. Yeah. But it was very like last fight.
I think the talk around the water cooler was just like, we'll be lucky if we get through it without our main tanks here. And I figured out a trick to make it easy for the tanks.
Well, now I'm excited.
Me and Andy, I was just like, you stand here, and here's their logic. And I know I've told Bobby about it, so I might not even need to say anything. Bobby will, you guys will figure it out.
He'll help us out. Yeah, tomorrow night we'll be raiding again. And
it's a little more chaotic with all that whole stand here, and I'm just having the easy 2-step recipe for where to go. So
I'm excited about this. All right.
Yeah, I know, because it's annoying, right? Because you're just like, okay, move here, move. It's constantly just moving around, and then usually the raid leader is going to tell you where to go, but it's like you need to be able to make that decision on your own. So
sometimes, especially if
quicker. So we've got the hacks for you.
The armpit guy sucks. He sucks ass.
Yeah, armpit lasers. It's just a geometry thing, John. I know you know raiding. It's just everyone's having a hard time knowing where to stand.
Yeah, and a lot of trash right before then. So John would hate that fight.
It's like one tank has to tank a thing, and then the other tank has to point the laser. And if you point it bad, you wipe the other team. So
That sounds fun.
Yeah, it's a great time.
But until you figure out where to stand precisely, then you're like, okay, this is easy. But yes, we wiped on it many times.
Nice.
All right. I actually booted up Factorio, by the way.
First time, or you played it before?
So thanks to King Shatterproof, the oil baron, I also have a copy of Factorio in my library.
Did he get you the expansion or just the base?
Just the base. The expansion came out on Monday and was a surprise launch from what I can tell. Like all of us, I'm like just starting this game and now there's a space.
That thing is getting like, I've never seen anything closer to 100% in my life. It's people are.
It looks like Dyson Sphere program. Like it's because it's like you launch into space and then you go to other planets. And I'm like, I've played that game.
Yeah.
But it's fine. I only did the tutorials and I can see how this game hooks people. But I had resistance to it because I played Dyson, so I kind of know what's going on and went to bed on time and didn't stay up too late playing it. But so far it's great. I just wanted to mention I launched a tutorial and I'm finally beginning my Factorio journey.
Big fan, but I feel I feel constantly inadequate to that game's challenge. I'm bad at it, and I don't know why.
It's just a bit of studying, doing it right, like figuring out what's this building do. It takes some time. You gotta
knowing kind of where it could, because everything's kind of a weird voxel based pixely thing. Placement is just a little odd sometimes, and I'm just not sure I'm putting it in the right place. And you can't just pick things up and move them. So there's like
the 3D-ness of Dyson Sphere program makes more sense about placing. Like that. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. You're like, there's like a grid that you don't see that you're like trying to figure out.
Yeah. Shapes 2 with a Z, same thing. I get 3D now, and I can really get fiddly with it. Whereas I just feel like I'm bad at it. I just need to give it more time. But that is one of the most universally beloved games on the entire platform. So clearly, it's there's something to Factorio.
Well,
obviously,
I tasted it a little bit, and I'm like, oh, tasty dish. Baldur's Gate 3 multiplayer. We did the Iron Throne rescue mission, and so John told me about a dragon I didn't encounter underneath Baldur's Gate. And we did this time, but we killed the dragon. And so what's funny is I never rescued Duke Ravengard. So when you rescued Duke Ravengard, he's like, dudes, I'm the Duke of Baldur's Gate. And you know what? There's this old dragon under Baldur's Gate. And he's pledged just once in his lifetime that if we really, 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 really need him, he will defend Baldur's Gate. And he's a super powerful dragon. And we're all going like, do we tell him we killed him? Like he's hyping up this dragon and that we murdered as like our Lord and Savior that's gonna save us. And Crofton's credit, he wanted to tell the truth. We all wanted to lie to him, be like, but he's like, let's tell him we killed him. And we're just dreading like the heel turn, or like, like you killed our only savior. And to our shocking surprise, Duke Ravengard gets a huge smile on his face, and he's like, "That's great. That means you'll save us."
Oh my gosh! What a twist! You're better than a dragon.
I wasn't expecting the positiveness out of it, and I was like, "Holy shit, this game's hilarious." Anyways, that's it. That's Baldur's Gate 3 multiplayer.
Did you guys cast a spell where Crofton said he can now invade the dreams of your co-host on Core and eat me?
It's like you never know with him.
Okay,
it's possible.
It's a very weird experience. All right, we have one last thing to do before we go today, and that is a quick call from Shatterproof. We've talked about him a bunch. He called in. I have to play it.
Hey Scott, Bo, John. It's Shatterproof. Long-time listener, first-time caller, and well, I figure there's no better place to leave you guys a voicemail than from the throne itself. Look, I've been thinking a lot about your recent episode. The one where you guys talked about bidets and pooping in bookstores.
Oh no!
I gotta say, it really got me thinking.
You didn't flush between the shit and the pee.
You see, I'm currently in the perfect testing ground for that bidet you guys keep raving about, but I've got a concern. What happens if you're like mid-session and the power goes out? Is there like an emergency manual mode on those things? Because right now I'm deep in this boss battle, if you catch my drift, and losing water pressure would be pretty catastrophic.
Dude, flush the toilet.
All right. I'll hang up now before this gets weird. Stay classy, fellas.
All right. He's washing his
Too
hands.
late. It's already weird. And Bo, what the hell are you talking about? Don't poop on the pee. You flush in between?
Yes. Because you know what happens?
No, what?
Water. So you pee in the bowl, and now it's a pee bowl,
Oh,
right?
shit.
So you sit down to take a shit, and then it's the pee. It splashes up into your butt. Now you got pee in your butt.
You must
flush?
be making some big splashes. I don't do that.
Hell yes. Hell yes, son.
Man, I've never done that once. Never.
You've never felt like you never pooed and then felt the water splash into your anus?
No, I mean, I'm saying I've never peed. Okay. So I knew that the show can never end without the weirdest freaking off-topic thing ever. But if I sit down and I pee whilst preparing for phase 2 Del Boca Vista, then I don't flush that once that's over with and then poop.
That's crazy.
I've never heard that before. Have you, John?
Nobody does that. You're the only person that does that.
I've never heard that in my life.
So you shit in your pee?
Yeah, all the time. Sometimes
sometimes I do too, but it's icky and gross.
Sometimes it's the other way.
But I think you should flush. I try to flush. Like I'm like, oh, I pee, and then it's like flush, and then I take my shit.
My gosh, how much water do you have in Canada? Well, that's not really the reason I think it's weird.
I live in Arizona. We're not allowed to do that. They'll send the cops.
That's right.
That's true. I mean, some households do the whole like, if it's yellow, let it mellow, where you don't even flush the pee until it's like orange. Well,
yeah. I mean, the thing is too, if you're drinking a lot of water or whatever, your pee's somewhat sterile.
Guys, it's not that serious though. It's just I was paying attention to his Foley and he peed and he didn't flush, and I was like, I think there should be a flush because I normally flush the pee.
And also, how is it not the same time?
Yeah, mine's simultaneous.
Oh, that happens,
typically.
And when that happens, I get angry because I don't want that.
That's the best thing I've ever heard you say. I get angry.
Yeah, it irritates me because now I got to shower because now I got pee butt and I didn't want to have to take a shower.
Oh my gosh. But you shower anyway after this, right? You always say that you take a dump and then shower.
Well, my mom's been buying toilet paper. I've been not showering.
Oh my God.
Not as much anyway.
Oh, that's amazing.
But yes, but only if I can get it really clean. Like my meatuses are all clean. I hate my nose having shit in it. I hate my butt having shit in it. I like the tip of my dinger clean too. Like I like clean holes. All right. That's just me.
You guys thought you thought that Shatterproof had already given us a lot, but really tonight.
Yeah. What was the question, anyways?
The true gift Shatterproof gave us was this.
Yeah.
Right here. I don't know. I couldn't listen to his call because I was too distracted by
he was saying,
why didn't he flush? He's pooping on his pee.
What happens to bidets when the power goes out?
When
like,
the
let's
power
say
goes out.
he's in the middle of pooping and peeing.
Nothing.
My bidet doesn't have any electricity.
Yeah, most of them are like John's. If it's the cold one or they don't heat them or whatever, you don't have to worry about it. And even those that do have heaters, it's just the heater that goes out with the power.
The actual toilet is not powered. That's the part that's a bad idea.
Right.
Like it works for gravity and physics. Like you don't need.
Yeah, it's water pressure.
If you have an electric powered actual flushing mechanism, there's your mistake.
Yeah, and
if
your plumbing goes out, that's different. Then you're screwed, and that doesn't matter what power you have. When I've had that problem before.
if hopefully what your emergency situation would be, like I've got a movable like shower hose, right? Like you have the shower head and then you have the shower hose, and just like spread a cheek and go.
Yeah, no, you could do that. You could do that, but I would be divorced if I did that.
Look, I did it. I did it. What? You're not allowed to?
I mean, I'm not saying I'm not allowed. I just think my wife would go, "What the f are you doing in there?"
Yes.
If I was,
this is if the power goes out. If the power goes out.
Oh, I see.
Check with your. I mean, if it's the problem, I definitely recommend checking with your spouses about things before, doing them if they're weird.
I'm just trying to imagine my wife walking in, me standing by the tub, shower handle like this. Oh, hi. I'm sorry.
Are you guys comfortable like that? Like
I would ask you, Is this business or pleasure?
Yeah, what are you doing here? No, I would be like, it's not that she would just be like a little flummoxed, like, what are we doing? Why is this happening this way?
Why is this?
You're cleaning your butt, but you didn't want to have to do the whole shower thing because you had one maybe 2 hours ago and don't need the whole shower.
I can see it all in my head. I'd say, "What do you mean? What am I doing?" And she'd just gesture around with her hands.
You have toilet paper, right? So it's like
we have the bidet and we have TP as well.
I
that's
have
your
a
back-
bidet,
that's
I
your
have toilet
backup.
paper, I have wet wipes. I am well planned for any situation.
Yep, front to back, every time. That's the rule.
Yeah.
Don't forget that.
Yeah.
Or it'll get in your vagina.
Anyway, I
Anyway,
apologize to everyone who didn't like this conversation.
I
didn't expect that. It was not my intention. It's shatterproof.
How can we not end the show in such a weird place? We always do. Oh, quick note, by the way. Speaking of other calls, so sometimes what happens is we get longer calls, like 2-minute, 3-minute calls. Sometimes we get calls that just aren't ones that we need to answer, but they're still, people took the time to send them or whatever. So I'll pack them up and put them at the end of the show in post. I'm doing that today with a bunch. It's just time. I've got a bunch stacked up. So stuff we couldn't play on the show for various reasons. Still feel free to respond to them, but right after we're done here, you will hear a string of calls that we have been holding on to. So listen for that if you want more, okay? Like somebody thinks the 69 Jesus thing is real, or there's a bunch of stuff I put in there, so you'll see.
What?
It's the whole thing.
Okay.
It's a whole thing.
We don't need to get into it. We've already discussed
I
pooping
filled my
on
quota.
peas. Like,
I filled my quota for today's episode.
Yeah, we definitely did.
I'm not taking any more bait from anyone.
Yeah, and rightly so. Also, I want to thank some Patreon people for putting up with us and helping the show continue to thrive and be on the air. I thought I had it in front of me, and I haven't opened it yet, so give me one moment, please. Our last episode was what, the 17th? It sure was. So since then, we have had the following people join us: Craig Olson, James, Moria Drake, Deadly Pants. Love that one. Bradley Hammer and Ian Graham. These are brand new folks who've joined us at patreon.com/core show. Why is that important? Well, it keeps the show on the air, but they get a lot of benefits from doing it. If they're at the right level, they get art in the mail that I send out every month. Brand new set just went out, in fact. They get no commercials ever, no ads of any kind. They get pre-show content every week and monthly host bonus shows. I don't know where we're at on that. Oh, Bo just did one, a huge one.
It's your turn.
It's my turn. So in November, you will be getting a something from me. I got to figure out what it is. I have a pretty sad, a nice melancholy story about an arcade game that came out in the 80s that I think I'm going to share.
Oh,
Nice.
okay.
Yeah, it'll be nice.
I've been enjoying your little slice of life vlogs.
Oh, you like the YouTuber deals there? Yeah.
You've been posting a little more, just like, hey guys, what about this thing?
I'm getting good traction on those, and I don't know, just feels right. So I'm going to keep doing them. They're usually sometimes they're WoW related, sometimes they're about a weird urinal I found at a restaurant the other day. So you should check those out too. frogpants.com/TV, or you can find it at youtube.com/Scott Johnson. Those go up about once a day. Let's see what else. That's patreon.com/core show if I didn't say it enough. frogpants.com/core for everything else. And if you'd like to email us, talk to the core at gmail.com. Text us at 801-471-0462, or you can leave a voicemail there as well. And find us on all the socials and all that stuff. We're all over the place. You'll find John is either John Jagger, John_Jagger, Craftless Rogue. He's all over the place. Bo Schwartz is usually
mostly
just
John Jagger.
And Bo's usually just Bo Schwartz. Sometimes Gaforath. It depends.
Gaforath. I think I'm thinking of switching my stuff back to Gaforath.
I'm really enjoying Blue Sky right now. A lot of engagement there.
I've moved over to Blue Sky pretty much. I also noticed more engagement over there, and I
You're Craftless Rogue over there, or John Jagger over there?
I'm John Jagger. I took it back. I don't need the underscore. I got in before that tech guy.
Nice.
Writing his tech books. Thinks he's all important.
Nice. I also got over there under Scott Johnson. So if you want to find me on Blue Sky, I do. I really like it. So I'm not saying you have to, but I like it a lot. It's better than Twitter for sure. And Bo is over there as well. He's all over the damn place. All right. And right now he's just saying VR's back, baby. That's what you'll see out of all his stuff. VR's back.
Yeah, WoW rating and VR right now. That's on the menu.
Yep, it's all on the menu. That's going to do it for us. Big thanks, everybody. Oh, we got to throw it to Grandma. Grandma, real quick, what games did we play so that the people at home can write it all down?
Buckle up, because the show went long, so this is going to be quick. Here's the games they played. Linked, Banner of the Spark, New World Aeternum, Citadelum, Roundguard, Metaphor ReFantazio, No Man's Sky, Sonic X Shadow Generations, UFO 50, specifically Campanella, Golfario, The Big Bell Race, Warp Tank, Batman Arkham Shadow, D4 Vessel of Hatred, Ravenswatch, World of Warcraft, Factorio, and Baldur's Gate 3.
Gosh, dang it, that's a lot of games. Think about that.
We had a
means.
packed episode.
Yeah, this is a big one, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. Total stream time, 4 hours, 33 minutes. Holy shit. The actual show time's less than that, but anyway. That's going to do it for us. Thank you all for listening. Come back next week for more right here on Core.
This show is part of the Frog Pants Network. Yes. Get more at frogpants.com.
This show is... Whoops.
I'm here to kill chaos.
That's what I meant.
Get him!